this? Like how much?
We're live, folks. Welcome back. We got the BulbaStore himself.
Hello.
What's going on, man?
No, I'm doing pretty good. Thank you for having me, man. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. You said this is your first interview on the YouTubes?
First interaction with another person.
Dude, people are sleeping on this then. Who's not wanting to get you on and talk to you about your experience? That's crazy.
Yeah.
No, so I mean, I guess I kind of just want to start out and like just kind of get your, we talked a little bit beforehand, but just get for the audience, like just your story on how you got into the hobby and eventually, like, I guess, got into the buying and selling and the vending side. So you said beforehand you were about 3 years ago, about Chilling Reign time frame is when did you find the hobby first time, or you get back in and then kind of where'd you go from there?
Oh yeah, I got to start from the very, very beginning. So I was a Yu-Gi-Oh. I wasn't even a player. I just collected Yu-Gi-Oh. I grew up with Yu-Gi-Oh. So I was buying and selling Yu-Gi-Oh just for fun. Like I'd go to Target, rip up some packs and stuff. So when in college, I went back home for summer break, and me and my brother went to like this Asian market to get some food. And right next door was an LGS. And I was like, oh, let's swing on by. Let's go over there. And then they had like the Chilling Reign, like new Pokemon set, Chilling Reign, blah, blah, blah. I went and I was like, oh, Pokemon. It's been a while since I've dealt with Pokemon cards. I did as a kid, but haven't really dabbled since. And then they had the booster boxes, and I like looking up like what the most expensive cards in the sets. So I would just Google it. Yeah. And it was Blaziken VMAX. Blaziken, one of my, I really like Blaziken. So I was like, oh, this is cool. And the art's cool. I really liked it. I was like, I didn't even know they made Pokemon cards like this. So I bought some boxes and we didn't get anything. I remember getting Rapidash, Galarian Rapidash. I was like, this is a scam because Pokemon.
It's actually a good hit too.
Oh yeah, at the time I think it was like $50 or something. But like Yu-Gi-Oh, surprisingly, like I didn't like you would like break even or make money when you open stuff if you get hits. And I was like, oh, this is great. Pokemon's completely different. Like most of the time, unless you get like the big thing, you're like in the negative. So, but that one was pretty cool. I was like, oh, this art's cool. So I threw those cards in my binder, but that's pretty much how it started. I was like, whoa. And then I saw all the alt arts before it and stuff and all the new cards since. I was like, these are some cool cards. So I just slowly started building my collection from there. I've always been like buying and selling. So, but that was when I pretty much got into Pokemon, was when Chilling Reign. So it's easy for me to remember because that was the event that happened.
Yeah, and so so you've always been a kind of a collector, multiple different TCGs, found Pokemon, kind of started collecting, buying and selling with your collection, stuff like that. When do you think it became sort of like, I mean, I know we kind of talked beforehand about, it's always kind of been, full-time-ish, but like, when do you think it started to become like, your full-time job that you were spending the majority of your time on?
Yeah, I mean, so briefly after college, I graduated, realtor for about a year or so, but I've been doing Pokemon buying and selling online, fully online, since like senior year of high school. So I already knew what I was doing till then. And I was doing it the whole time, like on the side, post online, all that stuff. So it was more like I've always been doing it and I had nothing else to do. So during that real estate stint, the market was like bad and stuff. So I basically just said, you know what, I could just, at the time I was making okay flipping and doing stuff. So I just said, let me just focus more on this Pokemon thing. So it was about, I guess, 2 years afterwards. So last year is when I went full time, I guess.
Okay.
Last year was my first year vending. And I guess, I would say was my first full-time year. Like whenever, I guess, March, whenever the first Collecticon, Dallas Collecticon was. So that was like May or something like that.
So Dallas Collecticon was your first time ever vending at a show?
Yeah. Well, no. So I take that back. I think I did a local one in January, very, very small one. And then I was like, oh, this is nice. Like I got the use of it. I kind of was like, oh, this is pretty cool. It's basically what I do online, but in person. Really like negotiating and stuff. So I looked up like the biggest card shows or like card shows to go to. And Collecticon obviously popped up. And it was really close to the Orlando Collecticon. It was like, I think in February, something like that. So you can't get vendor, you couldn't get a table back then, but I was like, we can make a vacation out of it, Orlando. So me and Michelle, we went there as like buyers, like just to check it out, see what it was like. Pretty big show. Definitely. I mean, it's still the biggest show. So that's where I got the idea of it. Got some like cool pickups. On a side note, I went there and I picked up a first edition PSA 10 BulbaStore base set for like $600, and I think at the time it was like $1,800. So it paid for like the whole trip, that one deal. And then in my head, I was like, are all shows like this, like where you just get these crazy deals? I've never ever found a deal since then, but in my head, I just thought like that's just normal.
Yeah.
That was crazy. So I was like, this is a great show. So I signed up for Dallas. I was able to get tables for there. And then I think I did every single one after that year too. So,
and I know you corrected me before we got on, but I mean, maybe you weren't the first, but you're the first person that most people remember doing YouTube content around the vendor POV style videos. I mean, you're kind of the face of vending in the Pokemon space, at least. I mean, definitely one of the largest channels that do it, if not the largest. And so maybe there were people that did it somewhat before, but I mean, you definitely made it popular. What made you decide to set up a camera and film your entire vending experience?
Sure. Yeah. So yeah, I was not the first. There was a lot of people. Shout out Trading Card Empire. He was the one I watched. Really good videos, but I figured I was doing it. I always tell this people, even now, like when people ask me, I always tell people like I was doing it anyways. Like I was gonna do the shows, and I grew up watching Pawn Stars. I don't know if so
Absolutely.
Big fan of the show. I always like, and I've always liked buying and selling stuff. So
have you got to meet Chumley at one of the shows yet?
I've met a few. Well, I said hi. I've met a few. It's weird because to me he's like, oh my god, it's Chumley, but then he's just like a vendor. So but it's cool being like like to be able to say hi to him and stuff. So it's but yeah, I love like Pawn Stars, and my thing was I'm already doing the show anyway. So to record it, I remember specifically the guy I was watching, he had like a cameraman, and if I did travel, they don't know how to use a camera. So I try to figure out, and that's how I came up with the 360 camera that I used, because I did it by myself for a few shows I think I went to. So in order to be able to do that by myself, I had to figure a way to record it and edit it without having someone else. So, but again, I did it because I was doing the show anyway. Might as well record myself. And there's a lot of benefits to doing, other than it's a lot of work to edit, but going through, you can see all the deals you've done if you forget for whatever reason, or it's good for like protection from theft and stuff. It's a deterrent, I'd say. But
not to cut you off, but speaking of that, has that come into play yet?
Yeah, the very first show at Dallas, I had someone stole a Venusaur EX PSA 10 from Fire Red Leaf Green. It was like $900, 1,000. So pretty big blow. I think that definitely put me in the negative that show. I learned a lot like throughout my first couple shows. You'll learn a lot. But
did you catch them on camera or anything?
No, because I didn't record. I didn't start recording back then. That was my first show vending. So the next show, I think Kansas was right after that or something. But yeah, Dallas, I didn't record anything. And that one, I bit off more than I can chew. I think I had 3 tables there, but I didn't have like the cases. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the protective cases. But it was at the end of the show. I remember they like walked up, and I had too much faith in humanity. They're like, hey, can I check your thing? And I was like, sure. So I just basically just like gave him my case to look through, and I was just kind of like packing while I did it. And then I realized afterwards that I was gone. I was like, oh, well, that sucks. So now, once I'm closed, and I always use those cases now that lock. So lesson learned, but got to learn one way or another.
Yeah. So, okay, where I got a good one here. Sure. Where did the idea come for the infamous Bulba shirts?
Oh, the Bulba shirt. Well, funny. So
by the way, if anyone's been to CollectCon, you can't walk around Collecticon with at least seeing a few of those walking around. Whether they bought them before or they bought them while they were there at that show, you always see your shirt walking around the crowds. Always.
It's cool now, yeah. But the thing was, before I started filming, I wore that shirt because I bought it for myself. I was like, oh, I like BulbaStore. I think it's a cool shirt. And really, I mean, the only place you can wear it is like a Collecticon. I mean, in my opinion, you can wear it wherever you want. But
Well, hold on. Where'd you buy it from originally?
I just buy it online.
So you bought it from someone else? So like, did you like tweak
No,
it?
but you can get. I have the design. So there's an artist. She's pinned on my Instagram. She does a lot of great work. She did my icon too.
So you had it specially made?
Yeah, I got for myself.
Okay.
And then so I got one for myself. And I wore it, and I would go to all these shows, and people would ask me like, "Oh, like, do you sell that shirt?" I was like, "No." Next show, "Oh, do you sell the shirt?" "No." And I was like, you know what? Maybe I should just start selling the shirts. So I started selling the shirts. I paid the artist, funnily enough. So she got a little kickback out of it. So she, sorry. And then so ever since then, I guess it got more and more popular because I remember like I'd sell like 10 shirts. I'm like, oh my God, we just sold 10 shirts. And like now I know I don't even keep track of how many shirts. Like they'll just sell out. I just pack as many as I can and they'll just sell out.
If you had to guess, what do you think you move on a show?
Depends on the show. I mean, the most recent one, so Kansas, I had usually I'll pack a suitcase, and I think it's like 100 shirts. Kansas, I think I packed like 1.5 suitcase. I don't think I sold out. I sold out of like all the popular sizes. I go up to 5XL now because I used to do like small through 2X, and then people are like, "You got 3X?" I'm like, "No." "You got 4X?" "No." 5X? No. 5X is the biggest like they can make. So now I have literally every single size they make. And then and I just
crazy, man. That's crazy.
Yeah. I think Card Party though was the first one I shipped 3 boxes. So I probably sold like 200 shirts there. And that one was crazy. Like you would actually see my shirts everywhere at Card
So
Party.
do you think you're making more off the shirts or your actual inventory of cards?
Well, margin wise, the shirts are absolute killer, I think, for sure. But like total profit wise, the cards just by volume do way more. Like if I sell, I mean, it obviously depends on the show. Some shows I'll still like some local shows, I'll sell like 5 shirts, and then might sell a couple tens of thousands of dollars. So I mean, it really depends. But the big one is, of course, the actual product itself, like the slabs.
Yeah,
that definitely still makes the most money and buying.
Right. Let's so yeah, speaking of that, let's kind of start from the beginning because I've had a lot of discussions with people and I think a lot of people have the questions because obviously people see videos like yours and videos like other people's now and they see the big money changing hands, the big deals. You guys talk about the margins and taking in trades at lower percentages and selling at higher percentages. And there's a lot of money, perceived to be, moving. And so I want you to kind of give the realistic view of from when you started until now, because I don't think there's a good grasp of like what it takes to get to where you're at. A lot of people see your videos and they just think, oh yeah, you just set up a booth and you make thousands and thousands of dollars. It's like, so kind of take us from like your first few shows compared to like now, as far as like, the success of the actual vending at the shows.
Sure. Yeah. That's a great, a lot of people, I don't let the comments usually, I don't really care about them, but I remember seeing, I would laugh. They're like, why would you do, how is he paying under market when you can just sell yourself? And it's like, well, duh. But the cost, obviously it depends on the shows, but like the bigger ones, Collecticons and stuff, the cost of the show is like thousands of dollars. So I'll say it again. So let's say you make 20% total. In order to make $2,000 back, you're going to have to sell $10,000 worth of stuff. And unless you're selling your entire supply, you're going to need 20,000 or more. So most people just can't sell that much. So when I started, I did local shows. So I didn't have to pay for, flights, hotels, stuff like that. I literally just pay for the table. So then your cost is whatever the table is, so like $200. That one's a lot easier to swallow than 2,000. And even if you lose like, I don't know, $100, it's not that much for the experience you get. So I started off with the shows locally. You learn, you see what people are, what people like buying wise, how the trading works and all that stuff. And then I started off, I did my first show again buying. And if you can, I would say for your first show that to travel, if you can find it in a city where you'd like to vacation at and then make a vacation out of it, then at least if you're not making money or whatever, it's still a vacation. Or if you break even, it's a vacation. So that's what I did the second time. Um, and then the goal was to break even because I enjoy it. So again, there are many vacations for me
while building inventory.
Yeah, while you build the and it's a lot of people think I sell a lot of money is like made by selling, but half the money is made by buying, right? It's a great place to buy at the only place you can buy really. I mean, you can do it online too if you're good at it, but the only place to buy easily if you're new to the market, if you're a new vendor, is just to be a vendor at a show. Like you could be brand new at Collecticon. Someone's gonna walk up to you, right? People walked up to me before I was anything, before I did anything. Just a random dude. I had one table, and they would sell me their great stuff. They would sell me their not so great stuff. I would see everything in between, just as a normal person. So you'll see lots of stuff. You get a lot of opportunities. So it's a great place to buy. And then once you buy there, you can sell it online wherever you sell, or you can just resell it there at the next show, the show you're at. So that's what you're really paying for the vendor space and gambling that you're going to be able to buy a bunch of stuff under market so that you might be net negative for the trip, but it's like future gains you'll get, if that makes sense. Like you're going to make that from all the stuff you bought, you're going to make that money back. And it kind of snowballs from show to show.
Yeah. And so what do you think? Like maybe like 3-6 months, like how long about do you think you started becoming, pretty profitable every show? You had enough inventory built up and you started to see those consistent, returns coming in.
So good question. Mine's a little hard because I do the shirts and the stuff. So
yeah, that does throw things off a bit.
Yeah. And there's a lot of variables for traveling. Like I ended up getting a companion pass, so I get someone to fly with me for free. So that was pretty good. Cut it in half because I would pay for both tickets. So that cut down the thing. And then if you do the hotel, so there's like ways you can save money, but in order to be profitable, I mean, I would say it was pretty fast just because once you know what you do, once you know what to do at the show, then it's really about what you have. So if you can have a big inventory, then you can make more money. So really you just need to grow your inventory. To grow your inventory, you just need more money. So if I happen to be very lucky, and I sold all my ponchos. So we were talking earlier. I had
we'll get into that. Don't worry.
Yeah. But I sold all that earlier, and that basically like funded my inventory, or like it was a huge injection to it. So then I used all that capital to that, and then again, it just everything snowballs. So your inventory will always snowball. The bigger your snowball when you start, though, the faster you go. So I just have to start with the big snowball.
What's like your best advice for inventory wise? Like, what's a good breakdown? Modern, vintage.
There's people have been asking me for a guide for sure, and I'm working on it. But my answer from what I've learned is singles is the best seller. Ungraded cards is the best seller, but it's the biggest pain, and there's not that many high-end raw, I guess, if that makes sense. Like an alt art might be $100, but a PSA 10 alt art is like $400. So you'll need 4 of that card for the same thing. So it's the best space-wise. It's the most popular, but it's a pain because you have to like check the conditions and stuff. You have more to price and update every show. That's probably the biggest reason I hate it. But it is the most popular, best quote unquote seller. Graded cards, my personal favorite, obviously, because you already know the condition. The prices don't tend to fluctuate that much. I mean, now we're in like a crazy market, but usually they won't. Most of like the older stuff or like non-alters right now, it's pretty much stable. So you don't have to price as much. You don't have to send pictures So like if you sell off show and stuff, my biggest thing was I hated taking pictures. So that's why I transitioned to slabs. Sealed to me, I stay away from sealed. I fly to a lot of shows, so every single show I fly to, I can't bring it back with me because I have a suitcase. So unless it's like super popular and I think I can flip it at that show, like right then and there, I will take a gamble on it. But or if you're local, like next week Dallas, I'll bring sealed, but it's a pain to load, it's a pain to travel with. You don't really not many people want to walk around either with their sealed at the show. So it's not that great of a seller unless it's like packs. But again, if you're going to have 400 $3 Scarlet and Violet packs, I mean, you're not really making that much money. You could have just had one slab. So my advice, no sealed, and then you can do your mix of well, I take that back. Sealed like packs are fine because it's the same size. And so if you have like vintage packs or like blisters and stuff, that's cool. But like a collection box or ETB booster boxes are like, you can get some high-end booster boxes and they fit in the displays. I just don't like, I'd rather have 10 slabs instead of a booster box. So I'd say if you were going to do sealed, booster boxes is it. But my bread and butter, slabs, and I have like a binder that I can bring that's ancillary that you can give as well. So that's my method. It's definitely not the best. And it also depends on how many tables you have. Like if you have one table, you can't have sealed. That sealed will take up so much space. You can actually have a ton of binders. So if you're doing like just ungraded only, you can have like 6 binders with like 2,000 cards. So it's very space saving. And then I just use graded because you can fit a lot of graded too. So graded.
Well, as far as the slabs go, what have you seen like lately, like in the past, like few, 2, 3, 4 shows, like what's been moving well? I mean, are you moving a lot of like high end, vintage mid era, like, I would say high end as in like $1,000 plus slabs, or are like the $100 to $300 slabs still the best? Like what kind of the price range, and like what areas are you doing really well right now at the shows? What are popular?
Yeah, I used to buy like cheap slabs and stuff. Now I tend to not buy anything under $100 or like valued at $100. And I don't like anything too crazy expensive, like over like 3,000. I don't really want. I'd rather have a bunch of 1,000 because that's more. I mean, even like a $2,000 card isn't plausible for a majority of the people there. So once you get into $5,000-$10,000 cards, there's only a handful of people at the show that are able to afford it, and then they have to be interested in it. So it's a slower mover. I'd rather just have smaller cards. So I try to buy, I'd say anything from the $300 to $1,000 probably like my sweet spot. That's most people's like grails, and that's they're trying to treat themselves by like some alt art 10s, very popular. So I have my percentages for buying and trading, but of course I go up because that depends on liquidity, the volatility, how much people want it. So I definitely think the biggest and most popular is alt art PSA 10s. Okay. So I always buy those if I'm able to. Those sell very, very fast.
Are Scarlet Violet starting to move a little bit?
I don't buy new set stuff. So I know there's some older Scarlet and Violet, but like the newer, I won't touch it because every new set nosedives after it gets printed. Even graded ones too, because more will get graded down the line. So unless it probably has to be like a year old for me to have it. Typically, and then even then, Scarlet Violet, it'll be alt arts only for newer stuff. So even like Sword and Shield, I guess those are the only hits. So alt arts really over $100. PSA 10, Scarlet and Violet. There are some like Magikarp or no. Well, Magikarp. Some of the trainers like Iono did all right, but I'm not too well versed in Scarlet and Violet, so I'll buy it if I don't think it's too volatile, but I usually stay away. My inventory is Sword and Shield to I guess I go to WotC too. So I try not to buy Scarlet and Violet, or 151 does pretty good. That's Scarlet and Violet.
So what about like what do you think about like WotC and the older stuff? Is that do you get much of that? Does it move very well?
So I didn't grow up with WotC. I could care less about it. I know a lot of people are nostalgic about it. So a lot of, I guess.
Hey man, I grew up with it. I could care less about it.
Yeah, well, a lot of people that grew up with it were like, oh yeah, this is what I had back in the day. They want to get it again. So I will buy it because I know other people like it. And that's something I recommend most people don't do. It's just something you can do later when you like need more inventory. But I started branching off into it just because I know other people like it. Like I have half a case of base set Charizards. I don't like Charizard. I don't like base set, but other people like base set Charizard. So I buy it. It's not like a fast mover, but it's not like you're not hurting if you have it. So I would say WotC's all right. I don't tend to. There's some like cool ones. So if you get like Legendary Collection, or the e-readers, I think those are pretty good. Yeah, those do pretty well. Or like tens. If you can get like rare WotC stuff, there's a lot of like rare collectors. So like jungle tens, I sold a lot of those at card. Some of these tens I did not expect to sell for a while, but there's a lot of like hard to grade, like Snorlax jungle 10. Sold that, and I was like, oh, okay. But I guess they have popular cards and the 10 stuff.
Yeah, I feel like the top grade, top rarity like stuff does pretty well at shows, but it's like those like rare hunters, like those grail collectors are walking around looking at shows for type of stuff like that. But then when you start getting down to lower grades or the less sought after cards, I feel like people just kind of like, eh.
Yeah, and there's a lot like people don't like you think WotC equals rare because it's old, but there's so many PSA 9 base set Gyarados or whatever, or not chart, but like there's just like PSA 9 things. So if it's like not a 10 or first edition, odds are it's like under $100. So yeah. Again, I don't try to deal with those, but I think it's a good thing to have in your inventory portfolio. Someone asked about what about Gold Stars? Gold Stars is the EX era, so that's different. But like crystals do really well. That's WotC, the e-readers. Shinings, those do really well. But other than that, like generic hollows they're pretty they're all right. Like I also buy them
like Japanese to English is about 50-50. Would you sway one way or the other?
I don't do Japanese at all. Okay. Raw, I don't do at all. There's no TCG player for Japanese. So it's hard to find the value of a card. So I just stay away from it if it's ungraded. And then I don't do any vintage. I mean, when I say I don't do any, I don't look for it. If someone gives me a good deal, I'll like take a shot at it or whatever. Yeah. But it's not something I'll typically, especially if it's not a 10, because Japanese is higher quality, higher print quality. So 10s are more normal, and they're not even that expensive. Like, you'd be surprised. There's a lot of vintage Japanese 10s that aren't worth that much compared to English. So it's not something I really dabble in. I would say the only Japanese I have are exclusive, like Ponchos or any promos that are just
the exclusive promos, right?
Yeah. So it's probably like 85-15% English, Japanese, or like trainers and stuff too. Trainers are very popular, Japanese. But other than that, no WotC.
That's one of like the biggest things I see newer people like falling prey to is they think there's something like wrong. Like, well, this Japanese card's so much cheaper than this English card in a PSA 10. This must be way undervalued. And it's like, no, it's just because Japanese cards are extremely easy to grade, or like the vintage ones. It's like, well, a holo came in every pack of, whatever fossil, where in English it didn't. Like, there's a lot of things you need to like know about before you just go running in and thinking, oh, the English and Japanese cards should be the same price in PSA 10.
Yeah, no. Now, there's an argument. Like, I think Japanese for a lot of cards, like there's different pattern variations, like the texture and stuff. Most of the time, the Japanese is like crazy. It's like a lot better, but it'll be a third of the price. Right. So, I mean, if you collect the art, then it's better. But if you're just like collecting the price and stuff, again, I don't really do Japanese unless it's the promos.
All right. Well, which I guess kind of brings us into the Japanese thing is we got to talk about the ponchos. Guys, if you didn't see, I mean, go check out his channel. This crazy person, he opened up sealed boxes of all the Poncho Pikachus, as well as the Mario and Luigi Pikachu promo boxes. I mean, we're talking. What do you think all those were valued at when you opened them? The boxes.
When I opened them, there were I think no meme. I think they went up after I posted that video because people started opening them. But at the time, I think it was worth like 23 to 26, I think, thousand around there.
The
But I,
$20-something thousand you ripped open to grade the poncho. So take us through that story and how'd you do? How'd you do at the end of everything?
sure. Yeah. So I bought, they were worth like, let's say 25,000. I got a good deal on them. I think I paid like 18,000. It was cash. It was local. And I've done it before. I don't know if I recorded it. Well, before this, I did that one. I've opened boxes. I've sent them in and graded it. And I usually got 9.5s. I got a 9 once. So I wasn't really expecting much. In my thinking, I was like, oh, this is going to be a great video. No one's ever opened every single poncho and sent it in and then showed also the grades all in one video. So I was like, this is going to be a great video. I did the math and I did the same distribution of what I did before. I was like, okay, if I send in, I think it was 8 cards or 7 cards, whatever it was, I might get 2 10s, a 1 9, and the rest 9.5s. I did the math, I did the grading, and I was like, okay, if it's the same, I'll probably get maybe 19, 20,000. So at worst, I'll break even, but I'll get a cool video. I'll get the boxes and the packs, which are worth probably, I mean, all those probably like $1,000 or so. So I was like, as long as it's not losing money, in the grand scheme of things, I think it'd be pretty fun. So opened it, recorded myself, made the video, I sent them in, and then I remember getting the email, clicked the email, and it showed me like you could see your grades. And I was confused because it said all 10s. And I said, oh, that's a little weird. So I logged back out. I logged back in because I was like, this is like a glitch. No, there's no way they like all got 10s. And then I went back, they're all 10s. So I was like, oh, this is like crazy news. I was freaking out. And then I got them in the mail, and I knew I wanted to open the box because like live or not live, but like I want to record it. So,
Right.
but I didn't have like, I think I was traveling at the time or something. Like there were some shows coming up, so I left it there for like a week and a half, and then when I had time, then I finally opened it. And then if you watch the video, you already know, but I ended up getting, they're all 10s, BGS 10s, and then I got 2 black labels, the black Ray and then the orange Charizard. So pretty good. I think I valued them.
Do you still have any of them?
I've sold every single one. Yeah. The black label ponchos, that's going to be a deal upcoming video. So won't spoil that one. But now it'll be coming out soon. It was in Orlando. Biggest deal of my life. It was like
I guess those crossed your normal $3,000 threshold.
Oh yeah, well, but I would never buy them, but
Right.
I graded them, so yeah,
Right.
I had them. So ponchos are like very liquid and popular for how much they cost. Surprising, like they're like the Charizards might be worth 3,000-4,000, but they move pretty fast. A lot of people want them, and a lot of people like ponchos. And the prices did go up after that video. They went down, or I think they like stabilized now. They're kind of close to what they were back then. I mean, this was a couple months ago, so nothing crazy.
Yeah.
It was a fun experiment. Definitely want to do it again.
So when you did that, you had no reservations, just shelling out 18,000 for these boxes.
Well, no, because I knew for sure worst case scenario I'd get my money back. Because even if they all got 9.5 or 9s, really, because you get.
So when you made the transaction, you already had your plan that you were going to grade these.
No, I didn't. I was doing the math because they're worth like 25K. Let's say they're worth 25K. I could have sold them for 23, 24 and made a quick 6K or 5K, whatever.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, because I've sold them before. I used to own them before. That's how I got my snowball, my injection. So I can just do a quick flip. The boxes are very popular to sell, easy to sell. So I could have, but then I was like, what if I get that black label? And I knew black labels at the time were like 10, 15,000, depending on which one you get. So like you get one, right? Then you definitely made money if you get one, and the rest were 9s. If they are 9s, one black label, you made money. So I was like, and then again, if I got no black labels and then the regular thing, I at least broke even. If not, probably made 1,000 or 2. So like, yeah, I could have. I mean, it's not really. I guess it's kind of gambling. I guess, but I thought it was fun, and there was no risk, no real risk. It's like, do you win more or win a little? So there's no losing.
Absolutely.
So I figured go for it. Again, no one's ever done it. I thought it'd be a really cool video content. No one's ever done that before. I thought it was cool. So yeah, I
No, I
just
mean that's the thing. You get that those extra returns from growing your following. That videos can continue to get views for till the end of time, type thing. So all those fringe benefits for doing something like that, which is huge. Another thing we talked about before we got on camera is I wanted to touch on that a little bit is which I think is pretty unique, is you've kind of turned off all the mainstream ways of selling, right? You don't have you don't sell these cards or products on your own site. You don't really use eBay or TCG Player anymore. You're kind of just live selling at this point.
Yeah. Yeah. So
what kind of made that transition to go just full time, just in person selling?
Well, actually, so I did before the vending, right? Again, I've been buying and selling for a year and a half, 2 years at that point before starting to send. So
Yeah.
I've built up my references so you can have like vouchers and stuff on multiple platforms online where people already trusted me before I did all this to send with Zelle, PayPal, friends and family, all the non-fee stuff. So I was already used to doing all my deals where they just pay me with that, and I send
Through
it.
just like Instagram, Facebook?
Facebook, Reddit, local. I mean, obviously, well, locally you just do cash, but Facebook, Reddit,
Fucking
and
deals through Reddit.
yeah, there's some groups out there. You can pretty get some deals. Facebook was definitely the biggest one. I mean, I don't know how many groups I'm in, like 40 maybe. I don't post anymore, but I used to. I'd do my inventory, post it all, and you do your deals, and then you can also buy a bunch on there. So yeah, but again, I had enough vouchers and references across multiple platforms. Oh, Discord too. If you don't know Pokeball, yeah, he's got a great Discord. That's the only one I know of though. But yeah, you can get some pretty good deals. And it's just a good way to do it. So I've never been using, and I'll use eBay and stuff to buy like for myself, because that's where you can get the most variety, like stuff you don't normally find. That's where it's the biggest marketplace for sure.
Right.
But those fees are killer when you sell, and then the sales tax now when you buy. When you add them together, it's like a 20% margin. So you can't buy and sell on those platforms unless you're making like 40%, which is no one is. So
yeah. So it kind of brings us back to the show. So are you basically getting for all your stuff like about what market prices on eBay? Or are you taking it down?
no, yeah. So I'll buy, let's say it's a $200 card. I'll buy it for 70%. So that's 140. And then I'll list it for 200. And then I would say maybe 10% of the times people walk up, they'll buy it just straight up. And they don't have to, they're nice. But most of the time people haggle and stuff. Generally, I sell like 5% off, 10% depending on what it is. Like I just gauge on if I don't take their offer, do I think I can sell it for more in a reasonable amount of time?
Yeah.
So if I have a Moonbryon and they offer me 15%, I'm like, well, someone else is going to pay more. So I was like, no. But if it's a car that's been sitting there for 6 months, I'd be like, yeah, sure, why not? So it depends. But I would say on average, 5-10% off. You buy it for 70-75%. So you make like 20%.
Yeah.
That's typically the margin I shoot for.
Yeah, it's kind of like whenever people ask me advice on like buying at shows, I always kind of tell them the same type of thing. It's like, well, if it's an illiquid card that a lot of people don't like, you probably have a better chance of getting a deal. If they're really liquid cards, you probably have a better chance of like buying like 3, 5, 10 cards from them. They'll probably work you a deal. And then if that doesn't work, always pull out the cash, because cash always talks a little louder. So like
yeah, for sure. Yeah, that is the thing. If you buy more, like if you buy $30,000, you're buying 20 slabs, I'll do better. But if you're buying one slab, then it's like, okay. So that's, again, you have to think, like, what are the odds someone's going to buy all these slabs individually? And am I, like, let's say I make an extra $20. I'm like, well, I could take that money, buy something else and flip it. So it's all about the, it's forgetting me, the
margin,
opportunity cost, cost. Yeah.
Yeah, because then you have that money to buy out other collections or buy people cards that come up. So what
I say that, but realistically, the biggest problem with vending is not selling; it's buying. The hardest part, everyone will tell you this, is finding stuff to buy at a good deal, right? Like everyone can sell for under market, but like how do you replenish your stock? That's the hardest. And I'd say it's the reverse for like brick and mortar people. Like they get their distributions. The hardest part is like selling them. But you know, that's the hardest part is finding good deals.
Yeah. And then what about like trades? Like, do you give more on trades, or is it about the same as
Yeah, I
a,
get more on trade 80%, and that's just because
you want the
a comment I
inventory?
get a lot is like, dude, trading should be where it's equal value. And if you bring something I want for myself, I will do equal value like that. Like if I was something I was gonna buy, I'm like, oh yeah, I'll do equal trades. In my videos, I've done some where I'm like, oh, I'll do equal or whatever, or like we'll do a trade up. It's just the stuff that I'm looking for, most people don't have. So it's better to have the option of like, hey, I'm not trading. And a lot of people will take it. Some people will have a card they just don't want anymore. It might be worth $125, but they really want this Charizard Altart and that's worth $100. Let me like, hey, I'll trade it for you. And I'm like, okay, I'd rather have the Charizard Altart too, but the other one's worth more, so I can sell it. So as a business, you just take it because now I don't take anything and everything. Otherwise, I'd have a bunch of CGC 6.5 common cards that people dump on me. But if I think I can sell it for more, I'll take it. And I think it's a win-win because people try to offload the stuff they don't want anymore. They get something they want. I get something that's not as desirable but worth more. So then I get the compensation. So if you were going to sell it to me and then buy that anyways, you're making money. If that makes, or it's
Yeah. I
better.
mean, I think people, like anyone that's being realistic with themselves, they kind of can get the fact why you can't do a straight trade. Like you're paying, we talked about it before, you're paying for these tables, you're paying for the cases.
Oh
like
yeah.
you have money
If
invested.
I just
Like,
sat there and did straight trades all day, I'd lose money.
yeah, just can't do
But
it.
yeah, again, if someone brings something I want, I'll do straight trade. But yeah, most people don't do that.
The question is, what do you want? Because everyone's here listening. They're thinking about going to Dallas now.
Well, yeah, I've been pretty public. So now I'm doing EX PSA 9s. So it depends on which one because I'll do better trades. So that might be instead of 80%, I'll do like 90% because it depends on which ones they have and then what they want. Because some stuff is as good as the cash. Like Altart 10s are as good, if not 95% of cash. So it's hard to do an equal trade for something that I know I could probably buy for 80% at the most or at the least. So for myself, I'm doing EX PSA 9s. I'm trying to get all of them. So I'm like 60% done with that. Skyridge 10s, PSA 10s, like the commons, uncommons, and then the crystals. I have most of the hollows. And then BulbaStore 10. Like I like the rare stuff. So it doesn't have to be expensive, just rare. So BulbaStore 10s, I have pretty much all of them now at this point. Kyogre 10s, there's a lot. There's some that I've been looking, I've never even seen for sale. I've never seen sold. Kyogre's my second
think of one that XY double crisis ones.
Oh yeah, that's exactly. So that one, the Team Aqua one, that's the one I want. There's the Dark Explorers full art. That's my favorite Kyogre. Yep. I've never seen them for sale. Never seen them sold. If someone pops up, I think someone else I know said they had it for like 4K. And I'm like, hey, I'm a Kyogre fan, but not that much.
Yeah, I hear you there.
Yeah. So whenever I walk around, and I really like walking around the shows. I don't really get that much time anymore, but if I do, then I try like looking for rare stuff or like unique stuff, 10s preferably, PSA, and then yeah. So having like a big goal like Skyward, the full Skyward, all the EX9s, it's supposed to be like a big goal that because if you finish it fast, then it's like, oh well, what now? So it gives you something to look for while you walk around, and then if you find something else, it's cool. If not, you know what you're looking for. But yeah, that's what I look for. So people bring that up, I'll do a better deal.
So would you call that your investment? Do you invest it all in the hobby? Is it all just
yeah? Someone asked me that too. Like my investment, it's an investment, but I don't care if it goes up in value or if it goes down. Like all my BulbaStore cards I buy, if they double in price, it doesn't matter because I'm not going to sell it. Or if it halves in price, I'm not going to sell it. So I mean, it'd be nice if it like triples in price. It makes me feel good, but I'm not going to sell. Or maybe if I have some duplicates, I'd sell it. But really, it's my investment. It's my collection. I'm not going to sell it. There are some, I guess, investments, but they're also it's just like it's part of my collection. But I like them. But if it got to a certain point, I'd probably sell it. So there's like levels to it.
Yeah. No, I mean, you hit on this. I mean, it's kind of like a lot of people always ask me to vend with them and stuff. And exactly what you just said right there is kind of why I haven't is I just like walking around so much. And I mean, especially now, like, you know how it is. Like now that you're on YouTube, a lot of people know you. By the time like you talk to people that walk up to you and you're talking to other people that you know there and you're looking around, it's like those hours go by like and
so
you didn't even get to look at everything you wanted to. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, if I was vending, I really wouldn't be able to see anything. So it's like, that's what always holds me back is like, I want to be at the show. I mean, I'd like to vend, but maybe like half the time, can I like shut down halfway through?
Yeah. Oh, well, I've done that before. Like I'll just close up like on Sunday, it's a lot slower than Saturday. So it closed at 5. I'll just like shut the table down at 3 and go walk around.
Yeah.
It's not that big. It depends on how much footage I have for the day. If I'm like, oh yeah, we can make a video out of this, then it's like, all right, time to go walk around. Because again, like I really enjoy walking around, talking to people, finding good deals. But you just can't. Orlando, I'll tell you, I did not move from my table once from pre-setup till closing down, even as I was leaving. So it was definitely the craziest show I've ever been to, and it was like a wow, like I didn't get to do anything at that show.
I mean, I remember when me and Pokey NE were walking around, we walked by your table probably 3 times, and every single time you had a line of people. Like you had a line just waiting to talk
people
to
ask
you.
me like, oh, do you always have a line? I don't see in the videos. I think Orlando was the start of the line. That one, I don't even know how long it was. It wrapped around the booth and just kept on going. People were waiting. I think it's cool. I personally, I think it's very humbling and cool. But I remember people were like, dude, and it was some people don't even do a deal. They just want to like say hi or like shake your hand or like get an autograph, something like that. But they would wait for like an hour and a half in that line. I'm just like, what? And to me, I'm nobody. Like it's
amazing. CollectCon hasn't like reached out and put you like up front or something yet.
Oh, who like CollectCon? Well, I'm already at the front because I struck a deal with them to get all the. That's why if you go on their website and if you look at their like the map, you'll see my logo there, and I'll always be at the front of the shows.
Oh, so you do have a deal with CollectCon now?
Yeah, I mean anyone can do it, but I do have a deal with them. Yeah, but it's not like I'm special. Like if you want to go do the same deal as me, you can go do it. You just have to email them.
What's the deal? Like you have to purchase a certain amount of tables or something?
Yeah, you just buy them all.
Buy them all.
Yeah,
like a whole section.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you do have to buy a whole section, and then you also have to buy it for the whole year. Like,
gotcha. So you have a whole section for the whole year.
I have a half a section. So,
and so do you vend every single CollectCon?
I'll be at every single CollectCon. I have the schedule up, and people will ask me every single video, "Will you be at this collect?" I will be at every CollectCon. I'm supposed to.
What are the other shows you do?
There's nothing. There's a Front Row Card Show. They're very nice people. I'll be doing that right after Dallas next week. That's in Vegas, so that was a fun.
I've seen a lot of like videos of those. Like, so how does that compare to a CollectCon?
Well, CollectCon is the most Pokemon related. Front Row Card Show is a lot of sports, but there are lots of it. Like I did their California or Pasadena one. That one was like 70% sports. So it was still a good show. Like I did pretty good. But can't say the same for like buying and stuff, I guess. But the Vegas one was like, I would say 70% Pokemon, 30% sports. So that one was pretty good. Hoping it's the same again. And I think it is going to be their biggest one. I think it's like 450. So it's like half a CollectCon. And CollectCon is massive. So half CollectCon, good amount Pokemon. I think it'll be good. And you're in Vegas. So I think it's a great show. So if y'all are nearby, go to that one. But yeah, that'll be in 2 weeks, right after Dallas. I think like organization wise, that's pretty much it. I'll do some one-off. Like there's a local show here in Houston. There's Miami TCG Con. I've never been to that one, but I signed up for it because it was. If there's a show that's big, like a couple hundred tables, whatever, and it has like good Pokemon traction, and I have free weekend, I'll give it a shot. I'm trying to think of. Is that really all the ones I go to? Oh, Card Party. I mean, can't forget Card Party. That one honestly, Card Party is my favorite for sure, hands down. It's 3 days too, so that's better. You get the extra Friday. That one, I'm glad they're doing 2 next year, so that would be pretty fun. Oh, there's Dallas. Well, Dallas Card Show is like a big sports one. I've never been to the Dallas one. They have like it's called Investabilia, where it's like Pokemon, but also like toys and stuff. It was a smaller one, but it's local, so I did that one. That was pretty
Absolutely.
nice.
What about like the National Sports Card Show?
That one I would go to, but one, it's on the same day as Collecticon, and two, you have to get your tables like a year in advance. So
Ah,
like they'll do the table drawing for next year at this year's, and I'm not there. So maybe next year, if someone I meet someone, they have a table, I'll grab a table, I'll do it. But it just happens to be on a Collecticon, so even if I wanted
yeah.
to, I'm not doing it. I prioritize Collecticon, so because I already paid for it.
Oh
So
yeah, of course.
um, but that I think show wise, that's pretty much it.
So I mean, what's your life like now, man? It's just basically just running to the shows and throwing out the content during the week while you're not vending.
That is 1000% it. I wake up. I mean, it's not a I don't it's not I wouldn't say it's hard. It's monotonous. Like I wake up, I edit my videos, I eat, go to the post. I have lots of packages, so I go to the post, I pack up and I'll do like claim sale, not claim sales. Well, I guess claim sales like on my Instagram. I'll post after a show. If there's not a show for 3 weeks, then I'll do online, get some inventory out. And since it's already priced and all that. And then that two days after is pretty hectic with all the orders, people doing deals with me and stuff. But other than that, it's editing for most of the time. It takes a lot of time. Like the one I'm editing today, I like adding subtitles, and there's like AI that can do it. But the problem is I add the subtitles not for funsies because you can't hear them. Like you can't hear the other person. And the like I have to just like turn it up all the way and just type manually. I like literally manually type every single subtitle. I go watch through all 10 hours of footage.
Oh
And
my
that's what I
gosh.
yeah, it's like a full-time job. And a lot of people reach out for editing and stuff, but my thing is I can't like, oh, you value your time, all that good stuff, but I can't. There's nothing like if I didn't edit my own videos, I don't know what I'd be doing. Like what else would I be doing? Like I can't go to more shows. I can't buy more than I already do. So my time is best spent as an editor until like I have some like projects I'm working on and stuff, but they're not.
I mean, I'm looking at your channel, so like your average videos are like 20, 30 minutes long. You're typing subtitles for all 20, 30 minutes.
Yep, yep. Now, if it's
That
like
sounds
if it's
brutal.
audible, I won't like I might hate. I think people can hear it. I'm not going to put subtitles, but like I've been having audio issues for the past. So starting Orlando, I won't have any because there was like something was wrong with my mic and camera. I replaced it, but like the one I'm editing today, there's audio issues, so it's even worse. But luckily, that's the last one, and then it's just a lot of. Uh, I try to have like system in place now. So like when you watch my videos, I'll do the deal, and then I'll do my recap at the end, like the. All right, guys, we got the blah 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 flippy thing. I know it's redundant. Like I think it's redundant doing a
That lets you know where you're at.
depends on the deal. Sorry.
That lets you know where you're at, though.
Yeah, like when I'm scrubbing through my 10 hours of footage, I just look for the point where I turn and I talk to it. And I'm like, oh, okay, I just did a deal. Boo, boo, boo. I like mark it. So it's a lot of I'm just trying to make it easier for me to edit it down the
Right.
road. Now, whether or not I should include it, I mean, I just do it because if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But yeah.
What about the shorts? Are you editing those yourself or using like a AI software for those?
Yeah, no, I go back and I take the thing and then I just turn it vertical. I edit the side. Yeah, I those don't take as long, but the problem is like the time I spent. I'm behind on videos right now, so I'm just trying to catch up. Then I'll go back. I mean, the shorts aren't going anywhere, so
Right.
I'll try to do like a short a day, and then I'll like run out of shorts, and then I'm like, oh, or like run out of shorts. I'll do like 7 in a day. Then after a week, I'll run out and I'm like, oh, well, I still have to finish this video. I'm trying to do a video a week. So like it'll be hard because I have three shows back to back, but we'll see. Because it takes a couple days, like 4 days minimum for a video, especially with all of the other stuff I do.
Man, I always get at like I always think about getting real editing on my videos and stuff and like really diving in and making them real. And when I hear stuff like that, I'm just like, oh my gosh, man, I can't. I'm trying to pump out a lot of videos. I can't be putting in 3 days of editing.
That's the only downside of like, hey, why not record yourself if you're gonna do it anyways? Is the editing part. Like, but to be fair, you don't have to edit the whole. Like, you don't have to edit. You could just one thing I tried experimenting with was just turning the camera on when a deal is about to happen, but you don't get like the beforehand. You kind of just get the deal, so it's a little boring. So I stopped doing that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it does take a lot of time. It's hard, especially. I'm blessed that I do this full time, so I'm a full time editor and all this. But if you have like a 9 to 5, you do the show and then you have to edit. Like it's a lot of work. You can definitely do it. It's just a lot of work. So I can definitely see the turn off of doing at least a thorough editing job or hiring someone.
And so, like, you know, obviously, I mean, we talked a little before, but you know, for everyone here, so right now, like, where you've built it up to now, would you say the buying and selling, the vending at shows is the majority of the income, or is it any of the social media, shirts, you know, revenue, sponsorships, all that type of stuff?
Yeah, I won't know since I'll know by the end of this year which one, like the percentage, I guess. But definitely, I mean, in my mind, when I just go through the day and like, oh, this deal made 100, this meal day, and then they just add up in my head, I'm like, okay, definitely made the most from the deals. I'd say it's like 50%, 60%, like the actual deals and buying, maybe 30%, 25, I say 30% shirts, and then the rest would be YouTube, like ad revenue, and
Yeah.
then the sponsors. So
Yeah.
Veriswap.
Who's that? Who is it?
Yeah, a Veriswap. They're like a trading platform.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they yeah, I'd say that's a pretty solid distribution of
Gotcha. So do you think if without like the social media and stuff, do you think you could still do like a full-time living just the vending if the videos weren't a part of
Are you
it?
saying like if I didn't make the money or if I like didn't have any presence? Like people didn't know who I
Well,
was.
like for someone, you know, who isn't a social media presence and isn't
No,
like
someone just like a brand new person.
they just want to vend. They want to
Yeah.
try to make a full-time business
I
vending.
think, I mean, it's definitely possible. Well, the only thing that's stopping you is capital, right? Um, you could be a millionaire, buy a whole section. You could be
Yeah.
Pokemon, you could be Kenley, Pokemon Network, and if you with zero social media presence, and you can make a whole living. It all depends on you could be me vending, but if I only have $500 worth of stuff, then it doesn't matter. I could be the greatest YouTuber ever. It's not going to make a living if I don't. So it all matters on inventory.
Okay,
How
here, let's say that then. Okay, so what's like your best
like how
for
much do you need?
Collecticon? Like how much do you think you should a good amount of inventory to bring to Collecticon in a good setup? Like, do you think you need at least like 2, 3, 4 tables? How much dollar amount in inventory do you think you need?
Yeah,
What
okay.
would you
I
say?
think it's better. Like it doesn't. You can have 10 tables. You have one. I do one table and I do great. So the tables doesn't matter. Inventory matters, but it's relative to you. It's just simple math. So if you again you make 20% on your stuff. If you want to make let's just for simple thing, the table and all your costs is 1,000 buckos. You make 20%. You want to make, I don't know, what's a good wage for a weekend? 2,000 bucks, I guess.
Sure.
You want a $2,000. So you basically have to net 3 grand minus your 1,000. That's oh god, I don't know what that is. You're gonna
Well,
have to make
no,
like
this is
15,000.
perfect. I get asked this stuff all the time. So like, yeah, like that's perfect. This is a perfect example. So like, if your expenses are $1,000, and guys, I know it sounds like a lot, but it's really not. Like the table, the cases cost money. If you're flying or driving there, you got to
I
stay
can
at a
even
hotel or an
break
Airbnb.
that. Yeah.
You got meals. Like it's going to cost you between $1,000 to $2,000 to do a show. So let's say it costs you 1,000 on the lower end. If you sell 5,000 worth of inventory, 20% profit margin, that's $1,000. So yeah, I mean, I think probably need to sell, I don't know,
If you sell
$10,000.
15,000, then you make 2 grand. I'd say for like, and the thing is, not only do you have to do it, because remember how I said last year, it makes good money, but there was only 6 collecticons. So let's say you make $2,000 per show, which is fantastic. You do it 6 times a year, that's 12 grand. I mean, I don't think many people are living off 12 grand a year full time. But if you do 2,000 and you do 25 shows, that's 50 grand. I mean, yeah, that's 50 grand is livable. I mean,
and then if you're also doing deals like you said on Facebook, Instagram,
yeah, on the side, and then you're doing So it just depends on how much you want to make per show, and then how often you do the shows. I can have a $10,000 show, crazy thing, but I do it once a year, doesn't matter. Or I can do it. It depends on how much you do it, how often. So
yeah,
that's it. There's a lot of factors into it. But it just, if the bigger your inventory, the more money you'll make. That's literally it. If you have more money, it takes money to make money. If you have bigger inventory, you'll make more money. So as much as you can, is why I tell people, as much as you're able to afford and willing to invest in your inventory, you'll make more money. You can, they ask me like, how much do you need to start? As much as you can, as much as you can.
What with the talking about that theft earlier, what dollar amount do you start putting the cards out of the binders and into the cases when they're singles?
So I had now, like, I'll just show, like, I'll have 3 moon browns in my binder, but I give it to them. So
Okay.
it's not like out for people to just like look through. They have to ask for it, and then I can just like watch them. But so if you do it that way, I mean, you can put whatever you want in your binder. But if you like leave it out, I wouldn't put anything like over $100 in your binder. I mean, you could do like maybe 200, I guess, and like one page, but just to be safe, if you're just leaving it out there, just keep it. I mean, most people just put their 100 in on. You don't really see binders with, like, my binder is literally just because I don't try to buy cheap stuff anymore, or like the lower end, because I don't like ungraded. If I do, it'll be all tarts. So they're all like 200, 300, 400 high end cards. You got crystal shinings in there. So I'll have it in the binder, but you just got to ask for it and look for it. But if
do you do any grading yourself?
I do, but I'm not like a fiend. I don't have like these 200 cards. Like, if I buy a card and I'm like, hey, this might get a thing, I have 2 submissions, 3 submissions this year. Now I'll do, that's for like regular stuff. So like, I'll just collect a pile. Once it hits 20, I'll send it in. But if I get like a poncho or something, I'll send it in by itself. Or so I grade when it's worth it, basically.
Yeah, no, I get it.
Yeah.
Guys,
I'm not hunting for it.
Guys, we've been going for like an hour. If anyone, I'll try to scrape through the chat, but if anyone left a question earlier, we're just like copy paste it, leave it again. Anyone that wants to ask any questions to either of us, just start leaving them in the chat. We'll start taking them.
Sure. Also, this guy's question, the K golf. So yeah, I definitely do get more business because I people know who I am. And that's one thing I encourage, why like people should also record. It's basically like a brand. You build your brand, more people. I wouldn't say, I probably don't always give the best deals. So if I give you an offer, and you're more than welcome to go shop it around to other people, other vendors, I might not always be the best person. So I have the brand of, at least come to me, I'll give you a fair offer. So, and then, I'll just take it. That's cool. Sounds fair to me. So if you just come up with a brand, people trust your brand, and really, as like a seller, that's all your brand and your trust and everything is all you're worth, really, as a seller, especially online, if you're trying to do like the no fees and stuff. So it is hard to judge. But again, I was getting business. I was at least breaking even before I was even doing YouTube before. And my inventory at that time wasn't that big. I mean, for a business, I want to say it was maybe 15,000, if that, which is a lot. But if you're starting a business, 15,000 for inventory, for like for a full-time job, isn't that much in the grand scheme of things. So it's workable for most people. Again, I did it. I didn't know anything about it beforehand, and I just kind of just started doing the thing. It's very self-explanatory, but it gets better the more people know you. So honestly, you might be able to, depending on your niche or whatever, like if you deal with high-end vintage booster boxes, you might be able to overcharge $5,000 just so people know it's legit. They're like, oh, I got it from this guy. It's 1,000% legit, et cetera, et cetera. It's mint, whatever. Like, people want to buy it from you.
Yeah.
So
yeah, for sure.
I do get more business, whatever.
Kevo said, okay, what do you list your cars? eBay history, price charting? Do you list for over market due to people wanting to negotiate? So yeah, that's a good question. What do you use for is it TCG Player? Is it what?
So for raw ungraded cards, I'll use TCG Player. That's unless it's like if it's anything vintage or high end, if it's a crystal, if it's a shining or something crazy, TCG Player is not good. You just still go to eBay. But for 90% of your alt arts or whatever, TCG is what I use. For graded cards, eBay is the best. Anything like price charting, 130, they all use eBay, but eBay is the best. It's just like the most pain. I mean, you got to type it in every single time. So it depends on the card itself. If it's a card that sells all the time, it's a Blaziken VMAX PSA 10. It sells like 20 times a day, whatever. It's pretty accurate if you use alt price charting, whatever. But if it's a Gold Star Latios PSA 10 that sells like once a year, I kind of use all of them. I'll check 130. I'll check price charting. I'll look at eBay. I'll look at alt, and I'll kind of just guess. I mean, sometimes it'll pop up on one. You can use Terapeak on eBay, which I think everyone else uses. Most people don't know about Terapeak, but it'll show you the best offer most of the time for the items sold. So if it says like 1500 best offer, you don't get to see what the offer is. But if you go to the eBay's Terapeak on your seller thing, it'll show you, oh, it actually sold for 1300. So the question is, I use all of them, but alt is the one I use first, just to get an idea. And it has that scanning thingy, so it's very fast. So that was a game changer. But eBay is the best. If you want to be the most thorough, if you just want to check one, type it in eBay, go to the souls. It'll be the most accurate. It'll show you everything. So eBay is for sure the best.
Celestial TCG says, hi, Dylan.
Hello. I sold him a bunch of shinings.
Yeah, I know he's been looking for him. He's been on the search. Evo said, do I need to stand in line to look at your cards?
Oh, yeah. So Michelle's great at like handling the line. She's like, oh, if you how the line, I guess, kind of evolved is if you just want a shirt, you can just go to Michelle or my mom. My mom will be at every single show from now on, flying with me. So you just want a shirt, just go to my mom. If you just want to look, you can look. But there's a line if you just want to do deals or like if you just want to say hi, I guess, and talk. So I like respect your time. Like if for anyone that waits there for an hour, they're like, oh, I just want to talk for. I'm like, hey, you waited for an hour, brother. You want to talk about your card or whatever? Sure. But yeah, you don't have to wait. You can look and then walk away. Just don't cut in line. It's like weird that there's even a line to tell people to go to. It's like people will walk up, hey, I want to sell it. And I'm like, oh, I'd love to take a look at that. But there's like all these other people here that were like waiting. It's just weird telling them that.
I mean, it is what it is, though, right? It's like,
I'm just like, hey, there's a line. Like, I'd love to take a look, but there's like a line. So,
no, I agree. You gotta do what you gotta do, man. You're famous.
Oh, not famous. I'm well known. I think it's cool though. My brother's like, you're famous. I think it's because my whole thing is at the shows, so I'm well known at the shows. But if I go to, I don't know, the Pokemon Go or something, I don't know. Just right now, I'm not like
it's almost like this, right? It'd be sort of like people like going and walking to like a YouTuber's like a room where they record in, right? And seeing like their studio and watching them like film a video. That's kind of what it's like. Like, you watch you online all the time, and then you go to a show and it's like, there he is, and he's filming that, he's doing the thing right there in front of me. So I get it.
Oh, so going back to whoever asked like, does it get business? A lot of people, even if it's like, let's say I'm selling for like 200, someone's selling it for 180, they'll do it with me because they want to be on the video. Or like they're a big fan. Sure. They just want to, they just want to be on the video. They just want to see themselves, blah, blah, blah. So that's another bonus, I guess. I mean, it is what it is. But
hey,
that's one thing.
And like you said, anyone can do it. Anyone can build a brand. You did it, and you're seeing the benefits of having that.
Yeah. And it's not really, I mean, it's a competition at the show, but as far as like video wise, you can watch me and 10 other people. It doesn't matter that you watch other people. So I'm glad other people are doing it. So, because someone might not know who I am, but they'll watch, Nostalgianomics POVs, and then after a while, I'll pop up, and then they'll start following me. So it kind of grows on that. On the social media,
it really does. Yeah, those recommended
competition, but
yeah, the recommended are really help. Like if you're watching anything in that time of space, you're going to get recommended to that person. So I agree with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How do you pay your brother for work for the weekend?
About so how I pay my family. I love my family. I'm very grateful that they're able, because I did do a show once by myself, and I flew there with all stuff, and it's not fun, right? It's a lot of work, boring. I don't really know anyone. So I always treat them out to dinner. I always pay for their meals and stuff. My brother, I don't like pay him like, oh, I pay him like, if you want, he'll go around and walk, and he'll buy a booster box of something, whatever. So I'll just like buy him stuff that he wants. But to be fair, it's really like free labor. I mean, for what they do, like for how many hours they work, if I buy them meals and stuff, I mean, they're just really helping out. They're not like workers or something. People have asked like, "Hey, are you hiring?" I just don't know what I would have them do. So until, I mean, maybe in the future, I don't know for what, if I get like a huge store, like a giant section or something. But till then, I don't pay them like a wage. They help me because they love me, and I appreciate it. So I'm very blessed. Very blessed.
So would you bother with distribution if you are a online shop only with real life vending at shows? You don't mess with distribution, right?
No, well, to even get distribution, you have to have a brick and mortar anyways. I mean, I guess Japanese, like Pokeani, you could do Japanese. Again, I don't deal sealed. I don't like sealed at all, so I stay away from that. I don't like sealed, and I don't like new sets. So those are.
And someone else asked something like that. He said, "Oh, here it is. Does BulbaStore buy sealed? So you don't buy sealed boxes either, right?"
So it depends on the show. Again, like at Houston, I bought a whole wagon's worth of Hidden Fates, ETBs, tins. I bought collection, but just because if I don't sell it, I can take it to my home and try and sell it online, or like open it up and keep the packs. So I will buy at low Texas shows. I'll buy at Texas shows if I'm driving, but most of the time I'm flying, and I don't because I have to fly back. So sealed booster boxes like Evo Skies, if I'm feeling it, I'm not an Evo Skies booster box fan specifically, just because it's like, I think it's like $800 or something. So it's hard to like flip that really fast. But like in Kansas, I sold Celestial. I had, oh, there he is. I bought a what is it? Oh, Celestial Storm. I think so. That makes sense. And I was like, I'll take it for a Moonbreon trade. I think I can flip it. Worst comes to worst, I can probably ship it because it came in a nice case. So like, I'll take a gamble on it. And I sold it to him for like a crazy under market. Well, not crazy under, but it was like pretty under market just because I wanted to get rid of it. So I will buy it from time to time if I think I'll flip it. But nothing like, I won't buy 10 of them.
Do you ever miss Yu-Gi-Oh? Yeah. So we didn't talk about that. So or maybe we did. I forget if it was beforehand or at the beginning, but your roots were actually in collecting Yu-Gi-Oh. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So obviously you shifted. I mean, I've been at your booth. It's basically all Pokemon. Do you miss Yu-Gi-Oh? Have you thought about, branching out and having some Yu-Gi-Oh products in the booth too?
Well, I don't miss Yu-Gi-Oh because I never sold it as a sell. Like I never sold it with the intention of reselling. I would just buy packs and rip them open for fun and then sell it to rip more packs. Like I wasn't doing it to make money. And I played Yu-Gi-Oh a lot as a kid. I used to buy and sell Yu-Gi-Oh cards as a kid too, online on eBay and like locally. So that was really fun. I never played it like since I was a kid. So I don't know anything recent. I don't really miss playing it. There are some cards like you'll see in Orlando. I just bought a Yu-Gi-Oh card PSA 10 for $1,000, and there's another card. If anyone listening, there's my favorite card of all time is Black Rose Dragon Ghost Rare. I'm trying to find one first edition PSA 10, which is it's a crazy card. I think it's like 12 grand. So if I can find one for a solid, okay deal, I think the last one sold for 9.5 that I saw. Very rare. My favorite art. I appreciate the art of it and I really like it. But as far as like selling goes, Yu-Gi-Oh, One Piece, Lorcana, whatever, I don't buy those because whatever money I spend on that, I can just buy more Pokemon, and I only know Pokemon. I don't know the market for anything else.
Yeah, that's such a huge lesson to learn. Is like, people just want to start like buying anything and everything they can make a profit, and they just see dollar signs, and it's like when you start venturing off into things you don't fully understand and don't know, and they don't have as long as track record, you can get in some trouble.
Yeah, it's like the Bruce Lee saying that you fear the one person that practiced it the one kick 1,000 times instead of the 1,000 kicks one time. Like, I know Pokemon. I know if I spend 5,000, I'm gonna make money. If I buy $5,000 worth of One Piece singles, I don't know what I'm doing there. I
I
mean,
might make money, right?
really, I mean, to be fair, the principle is the same. You buy low, you sell high. I mean, it's kind of, but you just don't really know the market. You don't know, where to sell them. You don't have the community.
Honestly, it's very similar to what you said earlier about buying brand new sets. It's like, do you buy Twilight Masquerade right now? No, because you have no clue what's going to happen. Like, sure, you could get lucky and the Greninja goes to the moon, but that could have also dropped off 50% too. So it's like,
better.
Yeah,
it's risky. So I know
I'm gonna. So someone asked. I'm gonna post it in the chat right now, guys. Someone asked where you can get the shirts. So I just posted the link in the chat. The BulbaStore.com is where you can buy the shirts.
We do ship internationally for $6.
$6? That's cheap.
It's because it comes from my factory, so they'll ship it.
The whole factory now.
So we all save some money.
There it is. Merino Racing. So that's the shirts, man. If you want to pick one up.
Yeah. People ask if I'll do the other ones. Maybe in the future, but I sell out of the BulbaStore ones, and I can't, like, I bring more if I could. So until I guess they die down or like no one wants them anymore, maybe I'll bring them out. I'm also working on like regular merch, like a t-shirt or something. I have my own printer. Actually, I bought it last year in like December to like print your own shirts, but I'm just so busy with all the other stuff. So it's kind of like that's another side hustle. I'm a very entrepreneurial. I've done so many businesses. So this is one that just happened to stick. But there's so many relics of businesses I've done or attempted.
Is this your first? Is this your first YouTube channel?
Technically, no. I mean, middle school, I had like a League of Legends YouTube channel where I'd play with my friends, or I did like Twitch streaming in college. But yeah, I mean, this is like my first legitimate YouTube channel.
Right.
It's more than
kind of like me too. Yeah, I've had a couple like tries. Like this is my first legit one too, I would say.
Yeah. So, and again, I wasn't expecting. It was more of one, like I could watch myself do negotiations, and I'm like, oh, like I could have gotten more, or like, oh, I shouldn't have sold it for. Like, it's a good watching yourself to learn. And it's just fun. Like, I really enjoy it, and then it just happened to take off. So I wasn't expecting.
It's a great idea, man. Yeah. I mean, it really makes great shorts. I mean, it's good long form too, but it's make great shorts comments because you're just scrolling along. And it's like, oh, I'm right in the middle of the deal.
Yeah. I think so. And I think another thing though, for anyone that wants to start it, is I think the reason why mine, like I wasn't the first, but it was like stuck more than the others, was I did bigger deals. So like a lot of the people that I watched, they would do small, like $50, a $10 card, something, which is not, I mean, no shame on that, but not many people want to watch you do GX card trades for 30 minutes, right? So I think sprinkling in like I'd always try. I remember my very first videos. I really wanted to have like I happen to always have like a big deal. So like I think my very first one, I had a poncho, and the second one was like another poncho. Something like I have like thumbnail, like, oh, I did this, and then I have like multi-$1,000 deals that people are like, whoa, it's like Pawn Stars, literally like Pawn Stars. I like watching the big Pawn Star deals when it's like $1 million signed baseball bat or something. But when it's a $50 gumball machine, you're like, all right.
Yeah. No, you're right. I mean, it was a great idea. I agree. K-Goss want you to dive into your editing process, like, well, I guess what you use for everything. Do you go super intense with it, or is it pretty simple?
Okay, so good question. So for the people that watch the videos, pretty much all my videos up until like Houston and then like Las Vegas, I was using the Insta360 which is a 360 camera, and it has its own editing platform. So that was another thing that slowed it down. You had to edit the entire video there, and then I move it into. I use Final Cut Pro, which is Mac. Now I use. I have a legit camera. It's a Sony FX3 or 30, the cheaper one out of the two, with a 180 lens, so you see everything. So it's a little easier to edit now because I just put the whole raw footage into Final Cut Pro and I just start editing from there. But when I did edit on the 360, I would go in, I would have to reframe everything. And that's why you see like little movements in some of the videos, because that's one nice thing. You can like literally reframe everything. But it also takes a lot more time. So I would reframe it, and then I would trim it in there, then send the clips to Adobe. So if you want to do the same with the Insta, I would go in there, trim it, and then add in your clips to Adobe or whatever you use.
Yeah, man. Whatever he said, I'm not even going to get involved in all that. This is a good question. So how do you deal with the attachment to cards? It's sometimes hard to sell even when you see profit. So I guess those cards you talked about earlier, those don't even make their way to your cases anymore. Those are just your collection. They never go up for sale.
Yeah, I think so. That's a good question. Once you put something for sale, you lose the attachment. So my ponchos, once upon a time, were like, oh, these are the coolest. I still think they're really nice. They're very unique. They're cool. Absolutely. It's at the time, I remember I was like, my goal is to own them all. But I think they were like $800, $1,000 each. And I was like, that's crazy to get all 10. That's like 10 grand. And I was in college at the time. But once I got them, and the boxes, I was like, oh, this is great. Never going to sell it. I put it in my closet. I would always show it off. Like, oh, flex post. This is my ponchos. And then I was like, well, they went up in price during like a boom. I think last year. Yeah, last year they like boomed. And I was like, all right, well, now they're $2,500 or something each. Like, I like them, but I mean, do I like them that much? So I toyed with the idea of putting them for sale. And once you put them for sale, then you're like, okay, I'm trying to sell these now. Then I happen to sell them all. And again, that's how I started the big snowball. But if you put it up for sale, you're going to want to sell it. So, but again, if you're putting it up for sale, do you really like it that much? That's another thing. But yeah, I'd say if you don't want to sell it, don't sell it. There's no real personal like if you have personal attachment, you shouldn't be selling it in the first place.
It's hard though. It's like, because I've had the same things kind of happen. It's like, especially back when the boom happened, like 2020, 2021, like I had multiple things that were not for sale, and I was planning on never selling them, right? Mm-hmm. And so it's like, and I get what you said earlier about, I don't care if it doubles in price or halves in price, I'm good. It's like, and that's how I felt too. It's just when something goes from like $2,000 to like $20,000, you start questioning it a little bit, and so like that's where it becomes hard. Like I think when you put something in your collection, obviously you're not really worried about the price, but then you look and it's like, oh, I paid $100 for that, now it's $1,000. I don't know if I think that's the best way to put it, is when you look at something like you said with the ponchos, and you feel like, I don't like it that dollar amount much anymore, right? It's like, I like it $100 worth, $200, $300 worth. I don't think I like it $1,000 worth, right?
I see. The opportunity, that's true. Like if it's crazy, but there are some, like my favorite BulbaStore is the Fire Red Leaf Green Reverse one. Yeah. If that goes to $2 grand, I still, and I like paid double what it sold for just because I really wanted it. If it goes to like $2 grand, like 5x, 10x what it used to sell for, I'm not selling it. Like I don't care. I want it. But there's very few. So it depends on how attached to the card. I mean, you'll figure it out based on how much it goes, how attached you are to that card. So I mean, there's no shame. There's no one like judging you for selling cards you like. So sell it if you want.
Oh, you don't understand that this hobby, you always get judged for something here. You get called not a real fan. You're not a true collector.
Yeah. I think that's another thing. Like with Michelle, she used to read my comment, like all the hate comments. I'd have another thing. The community is like crazy nice. It's like scary nice because I play a lot of games and stuff where I like gaming communities. So I'm used to like talk like everyone's like, oh dude, what is it like? It's just trashing on people. So when I like first started, everyone's like, oh, love the video, blah blah blah. It's like it looks like I'm paying for comments or something because everyone's so nice or whatever. And then we'd get like one hate comment like, oh, this guy's a clown or something. And she'd be like, what? Who says that? Like who's so I like all this comment stuff. I'd say just don't even care about it. It doesn't matter. The nice ones are nice, but the like it doesn't. If you know what you're doing is not bad, then there's no reason to feel bad about it.
True.
No.
Pokemon TCG, appreciate the love, brother. Speaking of the nice comments, man, we appreciate you for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, man. Did you see any you wanted to take? What color's the Lambo, man? What color Lambo are you driving to these shows?
I have a blue Honda. Blue
Mine's
Honda?
red, so we're close.
Yeah, blue Honda for Kyogre. Let's see. Let's go through the bet he has a jungle main. I actually play ARAM a lot now, just because it's more casual. But I used to be when I played ranked, I'd play like mid and stuff. That's for completely side note.
For what game?
League of Legends.
Gotcha.
Were
you pretty competitive in that?
I've been playing it since it came out. So I think, oh yeah, it's been like half my life now. I came out in like 2010, I think. So I've been playing for 14 years. I'm 24. So I played a lot, obviously, like as a kid and in college, but now I really don't play as much anymore. That's why I play like ARAM because it's just for fun.
Yeah.
But at the time, like I would grind rank all like a typical college or high school kid. Someone, the Connor Cock, asked how have the recent shows been. Every show has been getting better and better. Now, I don't know if it's because card shows as a whole are becoming more popular, because they definitely are, because the turnout is crazy. I don't know if that's because I've been going on YouTube, so more people are coming by my booth. It could be all of the above. It could be because the market's doing really well in Pokemon as well. Everyone's trying to sell at the high or trying to get in now. Probably all of the things. I can't complain. Dallas this weekend. Dallas is always a very big show. Probably always one of the top 2-3 collecticons of the year. So I'm expecting it to be a fantastic show.
Let me actually dig deeper on that too, actually, because since you've been in for over a year now doing this, speaking of like a bear market, right? Like I would say like late last year, maybe.
Yeah.
A lot of things were down, right? And so how did you deal with, when you would buy cards at one show and then by the time you got to the next show, maybe they were down, or because, that was kind of when the alt arts were all seeing like their bottoms, and Scarlet and Violet boxes around Christmas and Black Friday, they were getting blown out for like $75 and $80, and things weren't like dark. I wouldn't say they were dark, but things were definitely, they were down and they weren't performing well. So how were you doing around that time with the shows?
Yeah, it was, I was still doing well, but I remember vividly. So recently, everything's been spiking up. So I've been telling people like, oh, and I don't price. I just leave it in the suitcase till the next show. Then I reprice it. So when I reprice now, it's great. Everything's going up. So I reprice it up. I reprice it up. I reprice it up. Last year was the exact opposite. I go to the show. Every single time I repriced it, I was just lowering the price for like 5 shows in a row, 6 shows in a row. I was like, this is absolutely brutal. So I probably lost money, because if you're going that low for that long, probably losing money, because it spiked the beginning of the year to like summer, and then it dropped during like the later end of the year. So similar. I mean, that was with tag teams and like full arts and stuff. So that's also why like now, we're kind of approaching everything spiked. Am I going to be holding the bag for another 6 months? We'll see. I mean, I'm just going with the flow. That's why
that's kind of like what Mega Evo Mar said, like about the alt arts. Like they're starting to flatten, drop a little bit. Like, and then he mentioned me saying something about it. I'm like, yeah, I mean, I definitely noticed more alt arts like in people's cases. Like, they definitely had multiple copies. Like it seemed like they're getting more plentiful. They're definitely. Are you starting to see them sell slower, or are they still moving pretty quickly?
They still move, maybe like a tad slower, but everyone's still asking for them. Now, raw, I don't know, because I have so many copies of each. Like, I think at Kansas, I had like 9 Garatinas. So if I sold 4, which is a lot, when I look at the page, I still see 5. So I'm like, I didn't sell any in my head. So I mean, they're moving. I still buy them because um the insurance is in the margin. So if I buy it at 70%, if it drops 30%, I'm still good. So I'm willing to take the risk of, short term, long. And I do so many shows that there's not too much time for it to drop in between. So even if it drops, let's say I make 10%, I mean, that's fine. It's better than nothing. But yes, if you look at pretty much every card, alt art is like bloop, and then like down, and then it's like kind of a little. So it's all lower than maybe a month ago or so, or
So,
like moon brand too.
So just buying at that margin, is that what kind of keeps you like not as like antsy about having as much inventory? I mean, so you have to have a good amount of inventory, especially you said you have so many copies of every alt art. Yeah. I mean, do you ever get like kind of nervous about having too much inventory?
Nervous about having too much inventory in general, I guess technically, because like in my whole investment portfolio, just outside as a person, Pokemon is a huge part of it. So it is, yeah, it's a lot. But as in terms of like when I buy stuff, I think it's better to spend that's why I say like spend as much as you can that you're comfortable with. Because if you spend like everything you have, you'll be panic selling as soon because you're like, oh my God, I can't. It's like playing high stakes poker with your life savings instead of playing 1-2.
That's a great analogy. Yeah, that's a great analogy.
It doesn't matter if you lose it. So that's my thing. Like if I lose, I don't mean to say this like lightly, but like at this point, if I lose $500 on an alt art, my business isn't going to be in shambles. But if your inventory is 2,000, you lose $500. I mean, dude, that's a huge blow to your thing. So it's again, it's all about how big your inventory is. It makes it so you are not as anxious about, because it should all average. Like if all these alt arts drop, maybe all the WotC stuff goes up. I don't know. Something might go up to counteract it. When I reprice, some stuff goes up, some stuff goes down.
Yeah.
So you shouldn't really, if you have a wide enough, diverse, I guess, inventory, as long as.
And I think like when people hear that like, whenever anyone like me or you like will say like, well, Pokemon's a very large percentage of my net worth or whatever, it's like people like tend to freak out, but it's like, well, people are freaking out based on like their life, right? Like most people's lives, right? They're going their 9-to-5 job, they're investing 401k, like that's their job though. It's like, if this is your business, it's normal for a lot of your net worth to be in your business, just like anyone else's business. If you have a roofing company or you know, whatever it may be, like, that's your business you're investing in. It's not just like, I'm throwing a bunch of money at some speculative asset and I'm going to hope for the best. It's like, well, no, you're running a business with that capital.
Yeah. Like if I had all this money in Pokemon, but I just like throwing it in my closet, then I'd be a little worried. But it's because I know it's an active business.
Right.
Now, you might as well replace Pokemon with Cookie Company or something.
Yeah. That changes like the whole scenario in my mind.
Yeah.
We talked about this, but we didn't talk about it on screen. Did you have a full-time job before vending full-time? Are you making more or less than that job?
Yeah. So during college, I got my real estate license. And then after I graduated, I did it for a year. I was a realtor for like 3 months because that's when I actively sold and like actually made money doing it. And then for 9 months after that, I just did Pokemon, but I guess I was unemployed. Really, I've never had a 9-to-5 job, so I can't tell you. I don't have a baseline to go off of. I mean, I have in my head all my friends. They're like super smart. They're like engineers and stuff. Some of them are making like 6 figures and thing. And I could have I know I could have gotten a job. So I always compared myself to like, oh, if I did 60, if I did 80, if I had 100,000 instead of doing what I'm doing. But that's literally like any person that starts a business. It doesn't have to be poker. It could be any startup or whatever. So, I mean,
did you end up getting a degree?
Yeah, I have an economics degree. Surprisingly enough, okay. I don't know anything about economics, to be fair.
As you're running a successful business, right?
Yeah, but the actual degree, I don't. That day, I got the degree, and that's all that matters. And I graduated. I don't even use it. But
I get this question every live stream, no matter what we're talking about. Dude,
really?
Can people just stop asking about 151? Just buy it already. I don't care if it goes to 60 a box, 65, 55, 45. Just buy it. Like, just buy it. I don't know.
Somewhat. Yeah, I'm not I like sealed for myself. Like it's as a business, I don't like it, but like I got Tag Team All Stars boxes in my closet just because I like it. I think it's a cool set. 151. I don't have any, but I know it's like reprinted and stuff. They might do another one in July. Oh, who knows? But I have a buddy, Metakai. I told him like, hey, if they go to I think I said at 650 a case. I was like, hey, put me in for 10 cases, and I'm like, I'll just buy a few, just for funsies, just to have them. And at worst, you can rip them because I like Kanto Pokemon. So I think it's a cool set.
Wait, you got 10 cases at 151?
No. I said he's like a distributor kind of. So I said if it drops to I think they're like 700 right now, and at the lowest he said was 640. So I was like, hey, if they go to 640, just put me in for 10 cases. And if they don't, it's like, oh, well, I missed the boat, I guess. Because it was very recently they were 640 a case, like a couple weeks ago. So
yeah, that's kind of that's been my take the entire time. It's like if they get to a price range where it's so low you can't, I feel like it's guaranteed. I'll buy some, but it's like I don't want to play the game when it's 60, 70, 80, $100 a box. Like, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So he wants your take, not mine. Andrew wants Bulba's take on SV era cards being hard to get in tens. Are these prices artificially high? Will they be pricey because of rarity? Do you even concern yourself with this kind of stuff?
The only ones I think are talking about Magikarp and like Groudon and stuff that are inherently not too expensive. Like Magikarp is just as rare as any, or like Groudon. I know if Groudon for sure is just as rare as any other illustration or whatever in the set. It's very hard to get a 10. I mean, that's kind of it's the rarity that helps the value, but it's not artificially high because the like it's actually hard, but it might just be high in general because again it's a newer set and it's still in print. You know, they're going to be printing it for I don't know which. I think Paldea Evolved, that one came out. I don't know how old it is, but like let's say like another year or so. So let's say another year or so, and everyone's going to be opening up all these products when they go to Target or whatever. And there's 100% sure it's a guaranteed that there will be more tens coming. So will it drop the price? Who knows? But it's priced at it's priced right now what it's currently worth. I personally, I mean, you know, I don't buy new stuff again unless it's like out of print because you never know about it. But yeah, I think it's priced currently. It just reflects what it's worth, but don't put all your eggs in that basket.
So DY, he's talking about if you're vending, like you're a vendor, you can, you know, offer 70-80% for trade-ins because, you know, they're coming to your table. Trying to find 70% of market scrolling eBay, probably going to be difficult. I'm sure you could find some auctions at weird times with weird titles or bad pictures.
Oh, yeah. Are you saying like getting 70% on eBay? That's like you're not gonna because the market is eBay, so
yeah,
that doesn't make sense. Plus, you have to pay sales tax and stuff. So even if you get 70, you're paying like 80. Depends where you live, I guess.
So we talked a little about this earlier, but if you want to add on anything, so he just wants tips for his first CollectCon. He's done a couple local shows; they went pretty well, but not as big as CollectCon. I mean, we kind of talked about it. I mean, you can add anything, but basically what he said was just come with a large enough inventory that you can make what you want to make. Usually about 20% is a good profit margin. So if you're wanting to make $2 or $3 grand, you probably need to have 10, 15 in sales. So you probably have to bring 15, 20, 25K in inventory, something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's a show is a show, whether it's CollectCon or a 50 table local show. The act is the same. People walk up, they look at your stuff, they buy or sell stuff from you. It doesn't matter. You never know what's going to come through the door. Like Pawn Stars, you literally never know what's going to come. It's bigger, so I would say too, you might have a lot of downtime at CollectCon. I remember I would go walk around in the middle of the show because it's not busy. Maybe they're doing their Yin Yang Twins concert at noon, so people are going to that. You can go walk around, and I would say at least at CollectCon, a lot of the bigger vendors are there. So while you're walking around, it's nice to talk to them, at least kind of slowly build some relationships. Maybe, you know, ask them what's doing good for them, and like, oh, you know, what's been selling for you? What have you been buying? It'll help you just kind of learn as a vendor. I mean, it doesn't hurt asking other people how they do. Um, I'd say that's, I guess, a pro of having more vendors. You got to talk to more people.
You ever had a fake slab come to your booth?
Fake slabs
Or fake anything? Have you ever had to like tell
No.
someone their
I've
card
gotten
was fake?
lots of, hey, kids with their binders from Dollar General with their fake glossy stuff. I've gotten lots of fake raw cards. I've never had a fake slab that that I can think of. No, no fake slabs. I
That's
know
good
they're
to hear, at
rampant. I
least.
mean, typically they're for like high-end stuff. And again, I try not to do, like, I've seen some fake PSA 10 Gold Star Rayquaza slabs, but even if that came by my booth, I'm not buying it, even if it was legit. So nah,
Yeah.
I don't really deal with those.
Cameron said 25K. That's my entire collection. Like,
That's what you got to rock with then. If you're,
and that's the thing. It's like, you know, the barrier to entry, right, is none. There's no barrier to entry. It's pay to play. So it's like, if you have the money to afford a table and cases and you purchase it, like, you can vend. It's just like, so the barrier to entry isn't hard. It's just making a profit when you're starting out, especially when you don't have a lot of inventory. I think it's a lot more difficult than people, you know, will let on a lot of time. Like, you know, because I mean, let's be honest, like, we get pretty, what's the right word? Like, desensitized to money in this hobby pretty quickly, especially when you're in it for a while. But like, think outside the box. It's like, dude, $5,000 to $10,000 like of Pokemon cards. That's a lot for an average person, but it's just like bringing that to a collecticon, you know, with the expenses, with like your profit margins after what you paid for the cards or paid to grade them or whatever, it's pretty hard to actually make money, you know? And it's one of those things where it's just like, it sucks to say it, but you probably need to have a little bit more than that if you want to try to make money in something like that. Wouldn't you say?
but it again, it depends. Like, that's for like for me, for traveling. If you're local, if it's a local collecticon, all you got to pay for is a table. So it's easier to make a lot more money if you pay, I don't know, 400, 500 for a table, for single table at Collecticon locally. If you have 25K, then you'll definitely probably make money if sell a couple things. And again, a lot of the money you make is from buying as well. So the deals that you get is making money. I could sell 0, but if I spend 30 grand for cards and it's worth 45, 42, whatever, then I've made 10 grand, let's say, after, you know, you might go down a little. So it's not there yet. It's like a future kind of.
Yeah. What are the majority of your transactions? Is it a lot of cash? Is it like PayPal, wire transfers?
So it's cash mainly. I'll take Zelle. I don't have PayPal. I have a business PayPal, but you can't take friends and family, so I don't take PayPal.
Same here.
So usually most people, I mean, I tell people, if you're going to a card show, you should have cash. If you don't have cash, I have taken crypto once. That was for for the giant deal, because he had so much. It was such a big deal that he had to use like partial crypto to cover it with the rest cash. But yeah, and he was international, so he didn't have like Zelle or whatever. But yes.
NP Pokemon said, nice to meet you guys at ClutchCon. Bought your Charizard EX art collection from you.
Oh, yeah, that one's a nice one. It's the one where you're fighting the Venusaur. Yeah.
Did he make the video?
Did he make a video or me?
I said, did he make it on the video?
Oh yeah. Everyone, I used to do, when I first started doing the videos, I would just do like the interesting ones, I guess. Now, I mean, I just do any deal that happens, I'll do. So whether it's big or small.
I mean, honestly, man, I know like we joke about it, but like that is something that people will pay a little extra for to have that exposure. It's cool.
Yeah, people just want to be on the video. So
I mean, I would
literally people will walk up.
Experience.
Sorry,
I'd pay for that experience.
Yeah, people will walk up and they're like, and these are people that waited, right? They just want to say hi, and they're like, "Well, now that I'm here, I just want to buy something from you as like a memory or something." And or sometimes they'll like just want me. They'll like buy. They're like, someone was like, give me the cheapest thing you have and sign it for me. And I was like, okay. And I just found them like the cheapest $3 card I had or $5 card that I happen to have. I usually don't buy, again, cheap cards, but you know,
Well, you
sometimes.
see what Chumley does now. Chumley has his like own card printed. You
Does
see
it?
that?
Oh no, I haven't seen that.
Yeah, he's got like his own card, like with him and his dog. That like if anyone asks for, he takes one of those and signs it. Or I think he makes you buy it now.
Yeah, I should have like some bulk BulbaStores to give away or something, but most people give me something if they want to sign it. So.
Yeah, that's what I would think. Or sign the shirt.
Or a shirt, yeah, sign shirts. It's cool. It's weird. It's a weird experience because to me, it's like you want my signature on a whatever.
Yeah, then you got to come up with a signature for BulbaStore.
Yeah, I have a signature. I just put the BulbaStore and then I draw the logo.
Speaking of autos, do you mess around with the auto cards at all? Like, no,
Not at all. I don't know anything about it. That's more.
it's just too hard.
More like it's hard to price, and it's not. It's like it's another niche. Like not many people. I have my first auto that I got in a giant collection. I don't know how to price that thing. It's an authentic too. It's an Arita. So people were telling me, hey, it's worth like at least 300 off that alone. I said, okay, but I don't. It's just hard. I like it. Like I think they're cool, but I don't agree with the values of it personally.
Yeah, and then I don't understand like the difference of if it's signed by the artist or signed by like the voice actor or like.
So if it's signed by anyone other than the artist, is not worth anything.
Okay.
So I'm sorry to say, I know the voice actors, they charge money for that. I didn't know that. I learned that very recently. They charge money for the thing. I didn't know. But it's not.
I mean, I've seen people like I've seen, you know, like the Kaiba and Yugi voice actors. I mean, I've seen them sign Dark Magicians and Blue Eyes. I mean, Veronica Taylor, she signs cards. Like, yeah, they sign them, man.
Yeah. Well, I take it back. It won't generally, it really won't add value. But if it does, let's say it does, it won't be more than what you paid for it. And they pay like $100 or $50. So if you sign a $50 card and you pay $50 at most, it's probably worth like $60. But you know, might get 100 if you find a diehard fan. But I've never seen those sell for like a premium. But I've seen like Arita will sell for double a PSA 10 for like a signed 9-10 auto. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I don't like
there's like a few of the artists that really hold premiums, but it's not a ton of them. Yeah, I just think, like you said, it becomes so niche, like finding the people that actually want that signed card and then finding a value you both agree on.
Yeah.
You know, and then you not getting burned buying the card from the person who sold it. That's just a whole other level.
It's like sports.
But hey, for anyone that can successfully do it, get the signature and then sell it to someone for.
Hey, that could be you could be the signature guy, the signature store, and that'll just be your thing.
Yeah.
There are people that just do that. Just not for me. I'm already well diversified. I think I have pretty much like all the eras, grades, raw. So I think I could expand on like sealed and stuff, but then I'd have to hide. That's where you'd hire like someone to drive, and then like it's hard finding trustworthy. You trust someone with your entire inventory. Like they could just drive off with it technically.
That was going to be my next question for you, though. Is like, where do you see yourself heading in the future? Like, what are the big plans? Just kind of continue to grow the inventory, grow the channel.
That is funny because I always joke with myself like 5 years from now, vendor POV episode 300. Hey guys, we're doing another Moonbryon deal or something.
Well, what about at least like in the next year, like next 365 days?
I just think it's funny. Definitely still the same thing. I have some products, so I have I have a CNC machine, so I make displays for graded cards. So it's pretty like it was successful, but I'm like redefining it and focusing on one product. So I already have my prototypes that I'm working on and stuff. So that'll be available soon. Card show. I might do my own card show locally, smaller one, no Collecticon. It's just gonna be
that's big.
I'm checking out some venues and stuff. It's a lot of money and stuff. But hopefully, you know, I think my own card show would be pretty fun. It doesn't have to. I know people make crazy money doing it, but as long, again, like the ponchos, first time, if I break even, hey, it's a fun experience. And I could probably go around, you know, meet some people and all that. I think that'll be fun. I think that's pretty much. I mean, my hands are very full with my goal. Actually, my goal is to hit 100K. That's for sure my goal, like 1000%. It's weird when I go out and you meet people and they're like your family, like I don't know, your friends and stuff. Oh, what do you do? And then like it's weird to say. To me, it's weird because most people like it's not a normal job. So I'm like, oh, I sell Pokemon cards on YouTube. But when I get that 100K plaque, I'll have more bravado. My chest puffed out. I'll be like, oh, I'm a YouTuber. Like I got a plaque. And in the grand scheme of things, 100K compared to like all these big YouTuber, like not even like Pokemon, just like in general, 100K was big. Like I don't know, 10 years ago when I was in high school. No, not that. I was in high school 10 years ago, but in the Pokemon community, I think it's insanely massive. And just
Dude,
to get
100K, I don't care what you're doing. It's still a big deal.
yeah, but the plaque to me is just like something about it. I don't know. Just something about getting that plaque is just like, yeah.
I'm with you, man. It'd be so amazing to get there one day. I mean, here's the funny part about it too. It's like you hit the nail on the head. It's just like because my family's the same way. You go to like these family gatherings, like Father's Day or something. People are like, oh, so what are you doing now? You tell them, and you can immediately just tell by their body language that they think like, oh, so you're a bum now. Like so this guy doesn't do anything all day.
Yeah, it's because like my nurses, engineer, doctor, lawyer. Yeah, I do Pokemon, YouTube. I can travel, sell Pokemon cards. My grandma, she doesn't speak much English, but she's always wanted me to be like a typical Asian still, like doctor or lawyer or whatever.
That generation, like they have their respected careers in their minds.
Mm-hmm. So it's funny in my head. I'm like, oh, here we go again. Yeah, I sell Pokemon card. Oh, I sell I do. I remember going to the bank. I go to the bank a couple of times, like do it for like cash and stuff. But oh, what do you do? I was like, oh, I sell like a card show. Everyone thinks car, like sports car shows. And I said like no cards, like Pokemon. They're like, oh, what? Yeah. So everyone's it's just a weird thing.
Like me and my wife were talking about it, like coming up with some ridiculous title of what you do. It's like, well, I'm in charge of acquisitions and sales for
some funny there.
And I also produce content and marketing for them.
Of a giant cardboard distribution company.
Oh, it's so funny. It's just the way it is. So this is kind of interesting, like why people's psyche is the way it is, but it's true.
That's a great question.
Why do people opt out of selling eBay TCG Player themselves to vendors at 70-65%? Or even worse, they go to card shops and sell for 50%. I understand trading is as you usually get offered 80%, but plus for trade-ins. Yeah, I mean, it's just a lot of people have a very, I don't know, they don't like the idea of selling online. They don't want to do the work themselves. It's much easier for them to go to their local shop or go to a local show that's in town and just get rid of it there. I don't know the exact reason. Do you have anything of why?
Because I've seen everything over and under the bridge. There's people. Well, there's a lot of them for giant deals. Like I've done massive deals, like emergencies. They want to buy a home. They're having a kid, retirement, or they're quitting. They just don't care about Pokemon anymore. They're like, someone was doing, hey, I'm quitting Pokemon. I'm getting into One Piece now. Hey, buy all my stuff. I'm like, okay. So a lot of people quit or they need fast cash. It's very fast. There's no eBay. I will always tell people you will make more money selling yourself. That's everything in life. You can fix your own toilet or you hire someone else. It's always your saving. It's really your time, that the time of yourself, but the time in this case to actually sell it. You can put it on eBay. It might not sell for 2 weeks, depending on what it is. If it does, you pay 13%. Most people don't know you pay eBay fee on sales tax too. So really you pay like 15%. You have to pay for shipping. If you don't have your own printer and stuff, you don't, if you go to like the post office, they'll rip you off with shipping. Depending on, and most people don't have expensive cards. So if it's like $100 cards, you're getting $80 after anyways. When you could have got $70 cash, you got to go use it. One, there's no paperwork now with all the new laws and stuff.
Yep.
That's a giant one, is the taxes, the forms. Cash, it's easier. I mean, there's so many reasons why you'd want it, and some people don't care. They pulled it from a $5 pack So the fact that they just get 70, they're like, oh, what do you do? One in the video I was just editing today, I just bought my very first Pokemon box. He got the Charizard EX for 151. What do you pay? I was like, I pay $75, which was like 70% of at the time. He was like, okay, sounds good to me. Free money for him, and he doesn't care. Or on the same thing, people will buy something very cheap, and let's say they bought a Moonbreon when it first came out for $200-300. Now they sell it for, now it's 1,500 at the peak. They sell it for 1,200-1,300. They don't care. I mean, they're still making 100. It's easy money for them. But that's the big thing. If you want to squeeze the most money you can out of it, you would have already sold it yourself. But if you don't want the headache, if you don't want any paperwork, you're really paying like 10%. And it depends too on how much. One card might be easier for you to sell, but let's say you want to sell your entire collection. I mean, no one's going to buy it.
And I think it's the same.
You have to sell it at once.
And I think that's definitely better in person for people typing in the chat, like risk of scams, risk of shipping damage, all that. But I mean, I think a big, kind of correlation is auctions versus buy it now. Like people just want the money now. They don't want to wait for something to buy it now or worry about the market fluctuating. Like, look, you could list a card for buy it now, and then in the next few days, the market shifts and you have 5 people lower than you now. Then you have to readjust your price and the market keeps dropping. And all of a sudden now you have this card up for 3 or 4 weeks. You're still not paid, where you can just get paid right away trading in for less. And so, it's a big thing. Why do people auction their cards if they take less for them? It's to get the money. So why do people trade in at a card show? It's to get the money right then and there.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah. And like the most people expect 100% when no matter what, they can't get 100%. Even if you sell it on eBay, you have to undercut. Because let's say, I don't know, some store with 50,000, 500% reviews has it for $100 free shipping. If you put it for $100 shipping, they're not going to buy it from you. They're going to buy it from another person. So you got to undercut it to 95, and then you're losing, and then all that. So
and then it gets even worse because nowadays eBay's a lot of pay to play. So if you want to sell it quicker, you got to pay to advertise it.
Stuff. Yeah. And then
so now you're 13.5% plus 2, 3, 4, 5% in ads and shipping. Yeah, I mean, like you said, it basically gets to 80% or less. Yeah, I mean,
and now you're gonna be on a cool YouTube video. See, add value.
Hey man, there honestly, I think you need to play that up a little more. There's some value there.
Oh, it's weird saying that. I don't want to. It's weird. That's like very arrogant. Like, oh, buy for me. You get to be. I will never say it, but it's inherently acknowledged by people.
I think you could probably start pricing your stuff like a little higher than everyone, and then when someone buys something, be like, "Hey."
Oh, someone did ask that. Yeah, I don't. I mean, I will price it at a range. So let's say, for graded cards, there's always a range. It's not like TCG Player where it's $100. It'll be $180 to $220 for the past 20 sold for, I don't know, Blaziken something. So I mean, I might price it at the highest range, 220, and then I'll take 200. But I won't do, if it's 100 to 220, I'm not going to put it at 250 to try to get 220. So
I would just think like this from like, especially if it's other like people that are in any type of content creation space, no matter what it is, just have that little shout out. They're buying your card, like, hey, anything you want to say, and you just be like, oh well, some guy with like a few hundred subscribers wants to get a little shout out on your video. There's value to that.
There's a lot of people. I think I did it maybe once or twice, but the only problem with that is everyone does it. So I stopped doing it. Like people will be like, hey, can we do a shout out or something? And it's like, if you do it for one person now, you kind of have to do it. So I stopped doing that in general. Like obviously if there's like a reason to, or maybe, I don't know, but in general, I stopped doing that just because everyone asks for it. But I think another thing is it's part of the game, the negotiation game. It's fun for me, but it's your job to get the lowest price possible. It's my job to get as much as I can out of it. So in that range, I'm debating you. Hey, it's 220, and you're trying to get it for 180 or lower, and then usually you meet at 200. So when I buy, I'll do the same thing. It goes for 180 to 220. I'll give you the 200. I'll give you the 180. It's their job to debate the opposite, And if they're fine with it, they're fine with it. If not, then you go with it. And if it's not in their range, then the deal doesn't happen. But that's
Right.
part of the negotiation and how you be a good negotiator. And that's literally like the fun of it. Otherwise, you're just doing online deals in person.
Have you, besides that stealing card incident, have you had any bad losses, like from any buys you made or any things that have
bad losses? I mean, other than when the entire market was like dropping, again, really the margin is the insurance. Like it might drop.
You haven't made any like bad purchases where you got anything wrong or something, or bought like a big collection where it didn't like really value out to what you thought it was going to, or anything like that?
No, for big collections, I will always do my due diligence. I mean, it's my job to make sure I'm not scamming.
Yeah.
Well, it's my job to make sure I'm not scamming myself. But again, like I always give fair offers. One time before, but this was before YouTube. Again, because I had vouchers, someone sent me. It was my biggest purchase at the time, probably still up there now. It was like 25 grand. He overnighted me his entire collection, binders and slabs first. He said, I want you to, I was like, I can go through. He was like, I'm done. Like, I have to get out of it. I'm going to sell it. I know you're fair. He sent it to me. And I was like, all right, I can do this. It was like crystals, shinings, all a binder, all of alt arts. And then, I mean, technically, I mean, really, I think it's very humbling, not humbling, but it's very like nice to see like your hard work pay off. Like these are opportunities that come to you once you get enough references. So it was very nice. I was like, hey, I can build this whole spreadsheet for you of everything you got, the values I put, and how much I'll pay for it, and then the total. And then we agreed on it, and I just wired him the money. So it saved him every headache. I spent like the entire day. It was like a Saturday or Friday, and then I spent the entire day just going through everything, looking at conditions. It was a lot of raw cards too. So I had to put the condition, the price, what I pay. He went through, he was like, oh, he caught some stuff. There was a non-hollow, the Dragonite error in there. I remember. I just thought it was a regular common Dragonite. He was like, dude, this car's like $2,000. I was like, oh, my bad. So we fixed some stuff, and then we settled on it. I was like, okay, there you go. Wire in the money. So I think it's my, like, I literally have to go through. Otherwise, I might be scamming myself.
Yeah.
I always make sure I'm getting you a value.
For sure. K Golf's asking about, I didn't know about these. You take a chance on some graded booster packs?
Oh, yeah. So that was pretty cool. I bought these vintage packs and EX packs. So I like EX eras because that's what I grew up with. There were the old PSA 10s. So they were like folded over. Everyone hates them and stuff. I thought they were cool. I took a chance on them because there's zero comps. There's no comps. I paid them pack price, but like the full pack price. So I guess I was valuing it at like 130% of pack price. I still have every single one of them. I actually sent them in to PSA to reslab them so they're the nice newer ones. So I have them now. I think they're pretty cool. They're just very bulky, and I've been doing a lot of buying when I like at Kansas. I had more slabs than I could put out, so I don't even have room to bring them. I might bring them to Dallas because I have multiple tables, so I have the space for it. But they're just chilling. I think they're cool. They're not like too. They're very rare, but they're not. No one really wants a PSA 10 Team Rocket returns pack, and if they do, they're not paying crazy for it. So I figured that was another one of my mini goals is to like get every EX pack in a PSA 10 if I see it. But you don't really. I've never seen them before. I doubt I'll see them again. So I just have them. But people know about it. You know, if you want to offer on them, hey, be my guest.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with having some inventory illiquid, like, you know, because if the margins are right, you're okay to sit on it a little longer.
Oh yeah, and that's what I always try to buy stuff that I like. So even if it crashes or whatever, I'll keep it. And I have not a big, but I have more inventory than I've never even brought to a show because I have so much for the show. So if I ever sell out, I'll always have more, and that's part of my personal collection. So it's in my collection. But it's part of that, like, hey, I mean, if I sell it, I sell it. I don't make money.
Yeah.
It's like it's there. So that's always a good backup.
Do you ever worry about if a bunch of new vendors starting up because they see videos like yours and others? Do you think there's no space?
No. Well, I think now, of course, the barrier to entry is harder. Social media wise, there's tons of vendor POVs now. I think it's cool. I just happen to be not the first, but like I just happened to be right place, right time, and was the spearhead, I guess, of it. So I truly believe like if no one knew who I was, let's say someone else was me, and I did the same thing, I don't think I'd be where I at with the same quality. I just happen to be lucky, and that's all it is. Lucky with the algorithm, lucky with the shorts, lucky with everything. Um, it's harder to start, but it doesn't mean you shouldn't start. And that's same with like the business in general. Like just because it's harder, if you think you can do it, you should do it. It's I look over the business. The business itself hasn't changed. Like, right? I'm a vendor. The collecticons have been happening. Everyone's a vendor. The only difference is we're recording ourselves now. So the business itself of buying and selling Pokemon cards has been happening before I even got in the hobby. People have been buying and selling forever. So you can always start, even if it's not going to change because everyone starts their own stores now to this day. Before I started all that stuff, the only difference is just the video recording, and that's harder. But again, it shouldn't stop you from starting.
Yeah, and every single business is like that. Like most people, like they're usually like at a job that they already do, and they want to start doing that same thing. So they'll start a side business doing that, like at nights or on the weekends, and they build it into a company. Like same thing with this. Like you don't have to quit your job and like I'm gonna vend Pokemon now. It's like start doing a few shows, like feel what you're doing, build your inventory, get higher and higher, start making some money, and then if you feel like you're doing good enough, you can start jumping in and really taking it serious. But like, yeah, I mean, it doesn't have to be like this big one or the other thing. You have to become a vendor overnight. Like you can take some time.
Yeah. A lot of people stress too, because it's again, when I started, it's supposed to be fun. Like when you're starting, it's a side hustle, not a job, right? If you really wanted another job, you can go get another part-time job. But you're supposed to enjoy it. So if you're stressing too much about like the money you're kind of doing it wrong. Like you should really enjoy it and then start like otherwise it'll lose it. It'll just become a hassle for you. And then you're just not doing something you like to make money. And at that point, I'm sure there's other more likely to be successful ventures you could do than this if you don't like it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. Shane G, I'm not sure I understand this. If I wanted to start selling cards at conventions or stores, where can I start? Like selling your own cards? I mean, I think probably vendors at conventions are going to give you more than stores.
Oh, if you wanted to like sell cards to people, no, I mean, no hate. They inherently have to pay less because of their overhead and stuff. But if you ever sell to a store, you're kind of kicking yourself in the foot. Like at least join a Facebook group locally. You should have one and just Google your city Facebook group, Pokemon cards, or even Facebook Marketplace. Even if you get like 70%, 60%, I think most LGSs pay like 30 to 50 from what I've heard. I mean, I've never sold to but just from anecdotal.
Yeah, they don't pay much.
Yeah. And then conventions, I would say like, I remember when I started, people would say, oh, this guy pays 70. Most people pay 60. Like I think it was not like crazy high, but it was slightly better than average when I started. Now, a lot of people like pay 70, 75. Some people pay like, I'll pay 80 if it's a Crystal Zard or something. You know what I mean? So I think it's better for everyone. There's more competition for buying, so everyone's paying more. So you as a seller, you might 2 years ago you might have gotten $60 for your alt art, Moonbreon, whatever. Now you're getting 85% for your Moonbreon because it's more liquid. Everyone wants it. People will take a 5% profit than 0%. And that's another thing. If you're new, if you think you can make money on it, take it. Like I have my 70% rule, but if you can convince me, hey, you're going to make money on this for sure. You don't have it. It's going to sell like that. I might give you 80%, 75. It's your job to do it. And if you're new,
well, and also once those cards get higher value, like maybe the margins are the same or worse, but it's like the dollar amount.
The dollar amount. Yeah, it's better to make 1% on 10 grand than 50%.
Yeah, I mean, you can realistically. I mean, if it's a liquid card that's $2,000, I mean, okay, pay them $1,600. I mean,
I know people paying like 90. I've heard someone pay like 85, 90% for a Poncho in their heyday back like last year when they were popping off. And then you flip it you might make, it's like, let's say it's 2,500. you buy it for 2,300, 2,200, but you sell it for 2,500. I mean, you make like 5% or something, but it's like
And you
100%.
sell it right then and there. Like you don't even
Yeah,
take it home.
yeah. Oh, that's another thing. I used to do. I mean, it's more fun than of a business, but you can for sure arbitrage at the collecticons. It was in one of my videos. I went and I found someone selling a Moonbryon. I was like, hey, I'll pay you $700 to take it or something like that. He was like, yeah, sure. And then I went to another booth. I got a Moonbryon. You want to buy it for 750? They're like, okay. So I just went and bought it, and then I sold it to that guy for $50. And I just did it for fun, whatever it was. But I remember doing it, and I was like, hey, you can like find deals if you just find what people are. Now maybe it's not fair to the vendors, but whatever. Hey,
dude,
game is game.
I've been seeing some crazy stuff at these shows. Like I was telling people at this last show, it was one of the bigger tables, so they weren't like paying as much attention. I don't know if they would have cared or not, but he was literally live on Whatnot. And he was taking the card out, putting it up for auction, starting it at like whatever, and trying to like sell it before he even bought the card.
There are people that one of my table buddies, he comes and stream, like he has his cases think, but he's just there doing streams on Drip, I think, and he's just doing his normal stream, but it's more like for fun. It pays for the thing and all that. So then there are just tons of people. They'll buy something. All right, guys, we're putting out a $1 auction, blah blah blah, and then maybe they'll make money, or like they'll find a heavy pack there or something.
Yeah,
yeah. There's so many ways you can make money. Oh my god, I know people that, I'm not a CGC fan, but people will buy PSA 9s that they think look good, crack them, get CGC like the new black 10s, like not the gold ones, but like the regular. They'll make money there. I know people that do that. Like there's so many things you can do to make money as a buy, like just walking around too. So I think it's a good show. It's good.
Well, dude, man, I appreciate you taking the time tonight to come on, man.
No problem. Thank you. It was fun. It was fun talking, and it flew by really fast. Honestly.
Yeah, it's been a great convo. Maybe we'll do it again sometime. I know I'll be seeing you in New Jersey again. Good luck at Dallas. I won't be at that one, but good luck down there.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, this next 3 weeks is gonna be hectic, but it's gonna be fun.
And we'll be hoping we see that plaque eventually in the background.
Yeah, I did the math. Next year, hopefully.
You gonna bring it to the shows and post it behind the booth?
I mean, people say like I should like have I don't have any branding for my shows other than the shirts. Like I don't have table signs or anything. Just
shirts is all you need.
Yeah. So that plaque though, oh, I do want it. It's cool.
Any words of wisdom to leave everyone with? Anything last thing to shout out, or shout out anything you want to shout out about yourself? Anything you got coming up or whatever?
No, nothing about myself. But last words. A lot of people ask me, if you want to do vendor POV, just do it. It should be fun. Anyone can do it. You can start. You don't even have to do shows. You can do it fully online. Start there. Just learn. I think it's a very interesting business, just in general, to buy and sell Pokemon cards. So there's no better teacher than trying and do it. So if you have any local shows, you happen to be near any collecticons, big events, try it out. The worst, you lose whatever it costs, but it should be, again, very fun. It's an experience, and it might not be a fast, you might not get to where you want to be fast, but it's a journey and you should enjoy it. So that's pretty much all I got to say for that.
Perfect. Perfectly said, guys. Patience is key in this hobby. Just build over time. All right, we're going to call it there, guys. Link to BulbaStore's channel is top of the description. It's at the BulbaStore on YouTube. Same thing on Instagram. Same thing on TikTok. So you can follow them everywhere. And Dylan, man, really appreciate you doing this with me, man.
No, of course, Alex. We'll probably do it again sometime. It was a lot of fun.
All right.